Sinclair. I hope your ship is well, that only Johnny Roger has been through hell. Yo ho, on an adventure we go. In the deep digital high seas, we travel with ease, until we reach the outer edge and freeze. The Arctic chill like a very steep hill, through the darkness led by our will. Yo ho, on an adventure we go, to beyond the outer limits of society, broadcasting the reality. The pirates will always steal the show, from WPRPN, and yo ho, on an adventure we go. Docked our vessels in the Stoneport Harbor, no land lovers will fight for you honor. Your old first mate went AWOL after a drinking field haul. The legacy of pirate radio is strong. I hope our mates will come along. The changes we seek may not be long. That is why I wrote this song. And we go ho ho, on adventure we go.
Welcome, everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate manies, to this week's edition of World Pirate Radio News. It's show segment number 303. Great to be here with you. Of course, my name, as always, is Jaffe Ryder, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer. So WPRPN.com is a website we will draw your attention to. Keep in mind, sign up is free. All you simply need is a username, password, and email. From there, everything should be pretty much straightforward. If you do happen to run into any problems along the way, do not hesitate in getting back to us via our main email address, pirate1radio@protonmail.com. That's pirate, the numeral 1, radio@protonmail.com. We'll take whatever steps are necessary in helping to smooth things over, get you sailing off in just the sort of direction you hope to be. Be sure as well to check out all the show description links. We have a Patreon page, of course, and merchandise up for grabs, along with a whole other number of ways you can engage us, of course, support us, and help to basically get the word out, liking, commenting, sharing, remembering to hit subscription notification buttons, and passing word along to friends, family, and co-workers. And yes, if you would like to help us out with the PayPal, pirate1radio@protonmail.com, once again, is the way that you do that. Any support that we receive via the public, half goes directly back to the grassroots, whether Operation Secret Santa, the annual 10-day outreach, charity, relief, and consciousness raising telethon that we produce and put together every year, or just generally, if somebody from out of the blue happens to reach out to us, we vet them, or we've known them from the past, and we like to try to do what we can to help support folks where it's within our means, and challenge others to to reciprocate, meet or beat in some way, or just help to promote their cause, get the word out in support of these folks. So, yeah, we've actually got someone that we had helped out in the past did show up this week. We brought him into the chat group, and he was kind of having a bit of a rough go of things. I'm not sure where things stand currently, but Vinny Eastwood was, sounded like in a bit of a pinch there a year or so ago, I guess, and we've got him here with us today. Just, I guess it's the full wolf moon, Vinny. What do you think has done it? What inspired you to drop by and connect with us this go round?
Well, my Skype rang.
Oh, as simple as that. Come on.
And no, it's not quite as simple as that, because also I answered it. So yeah, that's how radio shows happen, I guess.
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of people can be real snobs though as well too. We've discovered, and I think anyone that has done this for any time will know that sometimes people are not overly I don't know what it is. They just not interested in connecting with others or dropping by and having a conversation, so, and a lot of times it seems to boil down to, if my theory is, it's just all about social media status, essentially, and looking at the numbers, like, how many followers do they have, and as compared to us, sort of deal. So, but you're one of those kind of guys who just very gracious, is what we have discovered throughout the years. And
I prefer the term slutty.
Come on.
Maybe.
Now, hey, have you moved on from your last relationship already?
I have indeed. However, I'm at her place right now. Was helping to look after my son, but they're good for a little bit. So,
well, if slutty is what you're most comfortable with, then you're completely above board, and then you. Yeah,
somebody asked me the other day, like, what's your heritage, Vinny? And I was just like, well, if I had to pick a word or something like that, I'd say that I'm a Palangi. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's a South Pacific Islander term for white person, and I find it quite funny, Oh, look at that Palangi over there. He's just turned his camera on.
How do you say that term again? How's it pronounced?
You know how your dad might be called your pa, and when you smoke, you go through your lungs. And when you're going out to a big dance party, you might take an E. Palangi.
Parlor ape?
No. Pa, like papa. Lung, like... and E, like you're now going to the disco. Palangi.
Okay, it works. If that works for you, then I guess that's the way it's going to be. So, life for you, however, in New Zealand, not Australia, as compared to some of the
right this time.
Yeah, well, we got some people that we do connect with here via both regions. So, and it has been a while since we last spoke to you, but now you got yourself into a little bit of hot water over the course of the whole scamdemic for daring to, what was it now? And now they actually charged you with standing within 2 feet of someone without a mask. That's how it all played out. Is that right?
Well, 2 meters is roughly 6 feet.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, standing within 6 feet of somebody was a criminal offence in New Zealand. Now, technically, it still is, but I see a lot of like flagrant violation of it. Just in day-to-day life.
Oh my God. It's still, that's the way that's just messed up, man. So this is,
It's selective enforcement, so they can choose whether or not they don't like you enough, and you can go to jail for up to 6 months.
yeah, that's right. So is this with or without a mask? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Proximity can be an issue.
Are they still enforcing that whole mask nonsense?
They're not enforcing it. Like I say, it's selective enforcement, but you still see those mask holes around somewhere. Bobbling around, not paying attention to where they're going or what they're breathing.
The mask holes. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. So, and have you been doing much of your show lately? I haven't really seen much notification of that, or it hasn't been popping up in my news feed as it normally did.
Yeah, well, I did take nearly a month off over the Christmas period, and now I'm back. I just did my recent show on US Sunday at 3 p.m. with good old Billy TK, who was the person who I incidentally got arrested with.
Was that via RBN News, correct? They syndicate your show, yes?
No. They fired me. Well, the reason why is because somebody else was able to pay for the time slot that they were giving me for free, so they took the money, which is fair enough. Business is business. And then I asked, is there any other network that might have me on? And Ground Zero Radio brought me on, and for the first time ever, I'm actually getting paid to do talk radio by the network. And it's like, yay! It only took like 15 years of volunteering.
Ground Zero. That's Clyde. Clyde. What's his surname?
Lewis.
Clyde Lewis.
Lewis. Yes.
Yeah, he's still quite active in the live streaming end of things, and he's got a Ground Zero. So what kind of a network do they have over there then? I mean, gosh, if they're paying their talent, as it were, people that host shows, that really does say a lot, obviously.
Well, I asked them, how do you actually create a network like this? Because I was doing a test every couple of days at one point, just to tune in at different times to Ground Zero Radio to see who they've got on, what they sound like, what the quality of their show is. And they've all got really good quality shows. And they're all really good quality, fun people, too.
Who are some of the hosts that they have there besides yourself and Clyde?
Oh, you'll have to forgive me, but that's only when I tested it. I mostly just focused on doing my show.
Mm-hmm.
But we every month or so we'll be doing a live crossover with the hosts and myself and Clyde and listeners as well, like every month on Aftermath.media. So that was actually really cool.
What about Chuck Ocelli?
As I was saying,
isn't Chuck Ocelli active over there?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought he was.
I haven't heard from Chuck in a long time. I sent him a message wanting an interview a while back and never heard back. But anyway, the question was, how do you create a good network, right? And number one, they said the only people that we invite onto the network are people who've been doing their shows for many years.
Right.
As in they're consistent. Right. And that's something that I thought became really an important thing, is just being consistent and making sure you do your shows.
That's right.
And don't give up.
That's right. Yeah, somebody famously said that back in the day, 90% of the recipe for success is just showing up.
That was Woody Allen.
What was that, him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody pedophile.
Yeah.
No. Actually, you know what? I'm not. It's no. I kind of, I'm jesting. The jury's still out as far as I'm concerned. Like he should, like no, I'm not sold on the idea that whatever the allegation charges are, that it could be, very well that his partner there, Mia Farrow, a little, she's not completely, we're not here getting the straight goods. And so you got the likes. I think actually AJ Benza, someone who blocked me on Facebook because I reached out to him, uh, just offering a little bit of help as far as the insight as far as the whole kill shots and were concerned. And it turns out after he blocks me, he ends up getting sick and suffering the consequences regardless. So sometimes maybe it pays to listen to people from the public that are just trying to maybe help you out a little, and leave it to your discretion. But he actually, yeah, he's got the inside track on uh, a lot as far as his ear to the ground and finger on the pulse as far as Hollywood and you know contemporary life, as well as throughout the years. He hosted that what was it, Hollywood's great, like, Scandals and Mysteries series that people, you can track that down via YouTube. That's our value added content for this week, folks. Uh, and it's really great, but like showcasing a lot of the scandals and controversies that Hollywood stars found themselves getting caught up in throughout the years. Really intriguing stuff, definitely. Uh, but Mia Farrow, he's not sold on the idea, nor do I think are several people that have been paying close attention to things. So, and as the American Western system, the way it operates, you're really, innocent before, guilt must be clearly, proven beyond a shadow of doubt, versus what we have now in so many other places, which is like, it's more the Napoleonic code, where just by the fact that you're accused of something, you're immediately seen to be guilty or found to be guilty in the eyes of the law. So I'm not sure how much of that you yourself experienced, Vinny, but you really gotta you really put yourself out there and as a martyr, and paid the price. And that's one of the
Yes.
that's one of the
That,
reasons that we supported you, and have reached and have tried to, where you found yourself in need, help out through PayPal and just promote you via our live streaming efforts here. Go ahead.
yeah, it was something that, yeah, there's an old saying about is, how do you expose a fascist? By making them act like it. So that's what we did. We went out and we protested right in the middle of lockdown. Apparently, the judge noted that I've shown no remorse, and this
Why
this
should
of
you?
course, well, I should, because what I did was against the law, right? Whereas, did you know the term legal, actually, like by dictionary definition, it means breaking God's law?
No,
You
I
know,
no legal. I guess L is God, right? So
yeah,
legal
yeah,
or
yeah,
ill. So against God, yeah. I didn't know.
yeah. And so they threw the book at us, and they went through all this stuff. But the interesting thing was that I'd been doing my show for many years at that point. This was August 18th, 2021. So it's nearly 4 years ago that this actually happened, but we spent 28 months in court. So, yeah, mate, if you want to go up and make yourself a martyr of the state, be prepared, because they are not going to make it easy on you.
Yeah,
And yeah, bro, we in addition to getting deplatformed in general, after the arrest, I was also banned from accessing the internet. and the cops had my phone. So I was like completely incommunicado for like 6 weeks right after being arrested.
So they
You know,
seized all your
like
electronics. They went into where you were living at the time and just cleaned out
no,
everything.
no, 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 no. They just took what I had on me, which was my phone and my cell phone gimbal
Why were you
that I was using for the
deplatformed?
live
Who did
stream.
that?
Oh, YouTube did, and X did,
Oh,
or
yeah.
then Twitter,
Both of our
and
X accounts are now suspended. It's been that way for the past maybe 6 weeks or so, and we're at a loss as to why. It's just and right at that
yeah,
time,
it's
Fakebook
almost
took us out too, but now we're back on Fakebook. So, and we got to watch. Speaking of BoobTube, we have to watch what we say here because it's just how sensitive they are. Anything can be said that's non PC, and you get another strike. So.
yeah, they've got like a nut allergy. They're just very fragile. They're not going to survive. And I was just kind of thinking about how bad things are for everybody. Like seriously, and at the start of this year, you got the Trump inauguration, you got the big forest fires going off
Yeah,
over in New Zealand. We got this gene editing bill coming in,
really.
and yeah, it's just you're coming at it from all sides. And
Yeah.
ironically, I run into people who are like, Vinny, everything's getting better. People are waking up. And I'm like, no, they're not. Have you seen the news? Okay, you know how the news is lies, right? And they still just keep doing it all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's the machine is not grinding to a halt. It's speeding up.
I got
Things are
something to
getting
say to
even
that.
worse.
Yeah, I got something, and they are working with it's a time frame, timetable we're up against here, Agenda 2030. That's we got another 5 years, and they're just increasingly ramping things up. As you say, full spectrum dominance. Attacking from all fronts, and uh New Zealand, though, is a really special case. Is Jacinda Ardern? What's the latest there? She's out. Parliament is dead. Almost, it seems deadlocked. Kind of like what we're facing here in Korea. I don't know if you've heard about this, where this clown here tried, because he was frustrated. Really, he wasn't getting his way, so he's like, okay, I'll just declare martial law and see how that goes. And it failed, thank God. But in New Zealand, isn't there a kind of a deadlock? At France too, things are kind of at a standstill. From as far as my impression of that country is concerned. What's the latest out in New Zealand, though, on the political stage? I know you said that you're going to be talking to Billy TK. That was during the pre-show that I think you mentioned that. You might want to follow up in addressing that, because he's been part of a upstart independent party, and maybe even wider. I think the platform is largely pro-freedom, if I'm not mistaken, but just
I mean,
fill in a few of
it
those blanks
was.
there. Oh, that's right. They
However,
had their database was someone hacked in, or they had all their phone numbers and contact information of people that had signed on with them stolen. Is that
yeah,
right?
about 70,000 donors on that database. Donors, like people who actually gave money to the party during that election. The first time when any freedom party of any description had actually gotten any mainstream notoriety. And I helped with that to a degree.
Sure.
But yeah, her name was Claire Deeks, and she was number 3 on the list of the party. And then she all of a sudden started up this organization called Voices for Freedom, which became very popular and very huge all of a sudden. And she'd had no experience whatsoever in terms of activism or a track record of self-sacrifice for the good of others in her entire life
Public
up
service,
until
yeah.
that election. Up until that election, and also the remaining $30,000 that was supposed to be given to Billy after the two parties broke ways didn't eventuate either. And also, we've heard tell that if you mention my name or Billy TK's name in a Voices for Freedom movement meeting, and this is the biggest freedom movement in the country right now, by the way, you will be ousted out of that. You will have your membership revoked, and you
Persona
won't be
non
allowed back in.
grata. Huh? Doesn't get more
Yeah.
black sheep
So,
than that, does it? What have you done that's so terrible?
well, other than standing next and being friends to Billy TK and telling the truth, nothing.
So,
Claire was like during the election, she would call me up, right, like we're part of a political party together. I'm doing the media, and she's a candidate or whatever, and she's calling me up, and I don't know her from a bar of soap. Billy got me in, and she like starts ordering me around and bossing me around and yelling at me and hanging up the phone on me when I don't do what she wants and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, really bad person. Like, so somebody else in the party asked me, "What do you think of Claire Deeks, Vinny?" And I go, "Psychopath on methamphetamine."
well, she should. It's too bad that I'm not sure how
And
she
she's
got
now leading
involved.
and she's
She
yeah,
should
and
have
she's now
been.
leading the freedom movement.
Yeah, that's
Kind of thing.
terrible. What sort of
Yeah.
what? No, of course, presumably when she's on the public stage, she shows a completely different side of herself. Yes.
No, she seems very similar. Like, just you know how crackheads are with their big wide eyeballs,
Oh
kind
wow.
of thing, and
So
then
she has a serious drug problem and a hardcore drug
I
pro.
don't know. No, I don't know
Oh,
if
I
she
see.
actually has a drug problem. All I'm saying is that the behavior and the look in her eye and the things of that nature is very similar to that of a methamphetamine hound.
Right.
But whether or not she is a methamphetamine hound or simply tightly wound, we just don't know.
Right. All right. Well, geez, this is. I mean, and you look. You've done so much work. You've interviewed some of the biggest names in the freedom movement around the world. People that have been active in alternative media. David Icke is one that comes to mind. There's been many others. I think you could rattle off a whole list. A lot. Jordan Maxwell before he
Jordan
passed
Maxwell.
away. Jim Mars before he died. I think.
I didn't get Jim. I got G.
Ah,
Edward Griffin though,
right.
and
He's still with
from
us.
Freeman Fly and Curtis the Eliminated One,
Yeah.
Fredericks,
Right.
just like
Sure.
thousands of people, literally thousands of people.
Yeah.
I'd done maybe 20,000 hours of interviews.
Hey,
by the time I was like maybe 33.
you had us on as well
So
too. Don't forget. I mean, so step aside, David Icke. Here comes Jaffe and the Robin Hood crew. Better watch yourself. We're coming for you.
you bet.
Oh, it's the full wolf. It's the full wolf moon period here through the next week or so. I'm not sure if you're into that whole business or not, Vinny. I think Sonia is. I don't know if she wants to come back on camera, and Mr. Eastwood, yourself potentially too. As you can see, this is probably the first time you've actually been able to, take a look at what what I look like basically here via South Korea. Just because for so long, I just, I had philosophical reasons for not being on camera, and it's not necessarily that I have, a face that's entirely made for radio, but just
Jeffy, being a pussy is not a philosophy. Okay, it's just like
what?
Seriously, just get
being
on camera,
being a
everybody.
pussy is not a philosophy. Did you just say that?
That's what I was telling
I'm gonna.
Max Egan. He was always humming and hawing about getting on camera and stuff like. Dude, people want to see your face. They want to know who you are.
Yeah.
They want access to you and stuff like that. They love you.
But then they discriminate. But then there's then they put you in categories, right? It's like, male looks this way, wears glasses, appears on screen in funny costumes occasionally, and what is this, and then just so on and so forth. And then, it's like handsome, ugly, tall, fat, short, and versus just focusing on the conversation and dialogue itself, which I think is, for me, it's what do you say, sacrosanct. It's first and foremost. It's most important, really, that the exchange of ideas and stream of consciousness, because we really do come not a hive mind so much as a synergetic community that, where we produce dialogue and lots, brainstorming and new ideas come to light that we'd never even uh, thought of up until the point in time that they arise, obviously. So I'm just going to quickly ask you, how's your music coming? You've done a lot. Are you having fun with that still on the side?
I am actually creating some music at the moment for a film score, and we're making a movie called Grindspot. It's basically like Star Wars on skateboards. It's
All right.
it's pretty awesome.
Tim Pool might like
And
that. Send it off to Tim Pool when you're done with it. He's a big kind of skater dude, I guess. So
okay, well, hook a brother up, my girl.
you
Now,
never know.
also with Vinny and the Vendettas broke up over COVID.
Oh boy.
Because my mate Mikhail, not only did he get jammed, but he also moved out of the city. So he's now like 5 hours south of me, in
Right.
frickin' Tamaranui. So it's like, oh, but yeah. So that was the end of the band, more or less. But I did bump into Mike a couple of times when I was down that ways, and sat and we had a jam, and we made like 5 new songs, so it's like, yeah, we still got it. We're just not in the same freaking vicinity.
Do you do much writing?
Sad for me.
You're the lyricist, aren't you?
No, I don't. I don't do writing. I make stuff up on the spot.
Oh, I
and
see.
then we record it, and then we go back, and then we rewrite it and transcribe it,
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're jamming, man, stuff just comes out. I mean, there are a couple of songs that we've done where we wrote them before we jammed them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can pretty much come up with lyrics off the top of my
Right.
head nice and quickly.
Yeah. I've got experience in that area as well. Back in the day, my university time, the mid '90s, basically Vancouver Island, Victoria, Nanaimo. It was rock, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and the spontaneity where you just you wanted to come up with some songs, and it's amazing the way that it can happen. So for me, this is the second year I've kind of recommitted myself to songwriting and lyrics. Actually, just kind of focusing as it's kind of like a therapeutic practice, basically, along with meditation and just with all the insanity and chaos that there is in the world. It's never going to end. Christ, Buddha, they were hip to the deal, basically, us being born into the material realm, looking outside of ourselves for truth, the answers, peace, comfort. It's not going to happen. We can only go within ourselves, folks. The kingdom is within you. I mean, think about it. So, or just do some magic mushrooms and see where that leaves you. But it's just trying to find a place of peace within myself and doing what I can. That's why partly we've been pursuing this show in such earnest, and as you say, showing up on a routine and consistent place and time as we can possibly manage. We have the likes, and we'd like to hear from them here momentarily. Mark out of the UK, up at the top there on camera, and below him is Roger via West Frankfort, Illinois. And then above you, Vinny, if you can see her on screen, that's Sonia, who calls Phoenix, Arizona home. We have a whole host of characters, a motley crew of people that kind of come and go, depending on their schedules, of course, and level of interest, but including the likes of Svetlana Savinkov, who we need to get on the show this year. We're wanting to make that happen again. We had her featured a couple of years ago. So Svetlana, we see her out there in the D Live chat end of things, along with Sonia over on YouTube. Good to see you holding down those two platforms. So folks, Sonia, Roger, Jolly Roger Hansen, who else could it be? And Mark Edworthy out of the UK. Does anyone have any questions for Vinny? Most of you are familiar with him to at least to some degree. And Vincent, do you want to come on camera, or would you prefer just to just to keep things the way they are? It's totally your call, of course. So
I can momentarily.
okay, sure, yeah, you do your thing. I mean, just I mean, hell, it was years before. It was partly because Robert Morningstar, him bringing me on board as a co-host with his Morningstar report via RBN network, that I finally, back just last year, 2024, decided that it was time to to see if we could incorporate the camera into the live streaming end of things. So, in fact, that reminds me, it'd be kind of cool to have you on his show as a guest of ours. It's basically it's Monday nights back in the West. I think it's 10 o'clock, which is noon here in South Korea. So in New Zealand, that would be 3 o'clock. You're 3 hours ahead of us, I think. Is that right? So if you're up for it, he's got a good audience, and he reaches. See, one of the things we do, he's been working on a project where you might be interested as well in coming on as an affiliate or what have you. Reach out to Alan. He can pick you up and then relay your show when you go live out to a wider number of people. It's homenetwork.tv is what we're looking at there, and he's out of Fort Collins, Colorado. But yeah, the Morningstar report, they do really well in picking up a pretty wide audience for sure, much more than what we do, and partly because of the way that we've been not only shadow banned but actively targeted. Like I was alluding to just a short while ago, both of our X accounts are down, and we're trying to get on top of it. So we'll see if we can get any substantive sort of feedback via their end. But I'm not really holding my breath, unfortunately. So, but anyone have any questions, Mark, Roger,
Just
or
one
Sonia?
point.
Go ahead.
Just on one point, what you just said. Technically, I don't think you were actually shadow banned. You were outright banned.
Via X. They suspended both of our accounts just like that, and
So yeah,
and
it was an
then
outright ban,
Fakebook
therefore.
did the same, where they were demanding like facial sort of like proof. Who are you? Provide facial recognition sort of deal. And I was not, if the deal breaker was either a passport or a driver's license, as they sometimes have been known to do, forget it. If that was the case, there would be no more Fakebook for me. So, and Mark, you didn't howl like a wolf when you come on and start speaking.
I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, so I'm not going to attempt.
Well, if you don't howl like a wolf, we can't then we got to go on to the next speaker, because it's the full moon. It's the wolf. It's the full moon week. It's a super moon period is what we're going through here, and this is what our special live stream edition that we're commemorating. Vinny's got that wolf spirit within him. Well, claustrophobic or not, as he may be, he's the warrior kind of fighting, and the lone wolf is really something that the powers that be, we often hear about them having all sorts of they're very, it's so that everyone ultimately is a terrorist potentially, which is true. I mean, it is true. Everyone potentially is a terrorist. Everyone potentially is a lot of things. Everyone potentially is a hero, right? So everyone is. It's just it all just depends. So, anyways, Mark, you're not howling.
Reminds me of the
You want me to kick you
Sure.
off? I'll kick you out of the
I'm not
room.
going to say that. It just reminds me of the old saying, a thin line between a terrorist and a freedom fighter.
Right.
Um,
Oh,
yeah.
this is one time, Mark. It's just it's not like we do this every week. Come on, it's like Halloween, only better. Oh,
Yeah.
do you have any questions for? Do you have,
I love
Okay,
that. Like, there's a wolf howling to the moon and goes, "Oh yeah."
Okay, so Mark, any questions? You're familiar with Vinny to some extent? His history.
sort of. Yeah.
Oh well, any questions? If
From I don't know. Can you? I was just thinking. Could you appeal your case?
We already did, but we
Okay.
could appeal it again in order to get rid of the conviction theoretically. But it's like, yeah, going back to court and raising enough money to do it
Yeah,
again is I kind of like. I want my conviction sort of like in a plaque kind of thing, like with a little brass engraved little thing, convicted.
yeah, it's a badge of honor, man.
Somebody,
It's a badge of honor. Look at who's at. I mean, it's not quite as extreme as what's his name, Sergio? No, Luigi Mangione, the guy who took one for the team. You know, just executing that scumbag CEO. It sounds like who really deserved it. So, you know, he's a modern day folk hero. You know, and it wasn't like he was. It was all calculated and done for a very intentional, good reason in his mind. So you can bet the powers that be are going to want to make an example. Yeah, big time. So, but he'll die. He's willing to potentially die martyr as well. But history will judge him accordingly. So you can bet there's a lot of those CEOs, those crooks who've been rigging the system, and people endlessly, especially the insurance industry. We pay and pay and pay, and it's kind of like gambling, right? The casinos and that you can find other examples too, I suppose, but they wouldn't be around. Of course, they wouldn't be around if they weren't sucking more money out of us, marks such as ourselves, dupes, just cash machines that they wouldn't be in business, right? So, anyways, Mark, is that it?
Arguably, we are, as the consumer, allow them to do that. If we did want to join these platforms or these be customers of these services, then how would they do that? This is where I always say, read the contracts every time you sign up to a platform or every time you agree to a service. Always read the contracts. On the point of that internet platform and the data breach that you were talking about earlier, I was just reviewing the New Zealand Privacy Act of 2020. I'm just wondering if there was any legal ramifications to that, if that platform's consumers could actually take the company to court.
Yeah. They were the ones who created the database because Billy didn't want to do it himself. So he got these people who were working for him to do it. And then afterwards, they were supposed to give him the database, but then they just took it.
So it's a big contract.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure of the legalities, but that's more of a technical question, sort of thing, not really my department.
As like I said, I was just reading the New Zealand's Privacy Act, and it just sort of, and I was just curious.
Yeah, Mark's good. Mark is very good with contracts, terms and conditions, and things, legal documents and so forth. He's really, that's his field of expertise.
Yeah,
in
which
bailiwick. So if
Roger
you want someone,
absolutely hates me for.
he's a good wealth of resources and contact for that. He's very active over in Mines with GitHub. So the kind of behind the scenes, under the hood activities, the coding, open source coding, and
Not really the coding, more sort of
legality.
Functionality wise, rather than coding per se, looking at how a function or facility actually functions, and reviewing community members on issues and complaints, and creating tickets, and asking the staff for the responses.
Okay. So does anyone else have any questions, thoughts, comments, criticisms, anything you'd like to bounce off of Vinny before he has to leave? I'm pretty sure his time is limited here. So Sonia via Phoenix, Roger, West Frankfort, Illinois, go ahead. Beautiful birds. It's probably New Zealand. Go ahead, Sonia.
It probably is.
You gotta unmute yourself, Sonia. You had it. What do you know how to do that? Come on. What's going on? You're do we have to kick? Oh, okay. Roger? Jolly Roger Hansen. Oh, yeah. Okay. She's back. Go ahead. Okay.
Now it's working.
There you go. You work. That's the magic trick. Yeah.
I don't have any questions or anything, but I'm a fan, definitely.
Do you remember
You're like a hero.
Thank you.
any shows of his that stand out in your mind? Any interviews that he did? I mean, David Wilcox. You
Talk, not Fox. Okay.
close. Hey, close. New Zealand, Australia. Once again, it's all this. It's the same thing.
Come on, yeah,
It's
different.
minor.
Okay.
So it's a minor, triviality.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that's like saying South Korea is part of North Korea.
What really gets under my
Minor-
skin
minor
is
issues,
people
minor
calling me
issues.
American, and just it may technically may be true, but I do, Canadian is much preferred. So okay, yeah, go ahead. So David Wilcock, yes. Now, do you remember what do you remember of the show, and maybe what does Vinny remember? Go ahead, Sonia.
I haven't seen that one. You
Oh.
You interviewed David? Awesome.
I think you
I
did.
No, I
His
did not.
signature-
I thought you did. I could have swore you did.
No, I didn't.
I went to one of his gigs, kind of thing, because one of my mates was advertising for him in his magazine. So I got to go and see him speak, but that was about it. I didn't get to talk to him.
That wasn't where you met David Icke, was it?
No.
Okay. So, anyways, so all right, Sonia. Any other questions?
2014. This is the most interesting thing ever, because I've interviewed thousands of people, and so far we've only remembered shows with people that I haven't done a show with. So
Well, you did us.
great.
I remember doing us. Yeah, and Jordan Maxwell. Pretty sure.
Yeah. And sorry, Sonia, go ahead.
Oh, that was pretty much it. I mean, I don't have any shows that I remember. I went to your website and there's so much cool stuff there. It was overwhelming.
Yeah,
So I
it's
just
just too
kinda-
much, eh? Like
And your music's
the best
awesome
one
too.
to go for. Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Well,
And speaking of
best
interviewing
show.
people,
Sorry. Just real quick.
Go ahead.
Best show I ever did was David Icke and Mark Passio at the same time.
Right,
David Icke
right.
and Mark Passio on there. That was like wicked.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue, Sonia.
I get it. Awesome. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Right on. I was just going to say, Max Egan, actually, believe it or not, did you guys hear that Alan interviewed him on his show recently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it's pretty cool.
Amos Dale, Vinny. I don't know if you know Amos Dale, 777 out of Australia, Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amos, he's coming to New Zealand soon. He's going to come and see me.
You and DK.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, are you much of a drinker, Vinny, or have you kind of given that up?
Well, I mean, no, I do like a drink, but I don't really do it very often.
Right.
Because as you'll know, that as a conspiracy theorist, you get invited to so many parties. You that's a joke, by the way. You don't
was gonna
get
say.
invited to parties.
Well,
Right.
Who's this guy doing? I remember I was at a festival and I was talking about satanic ritual abuse, and the whole circle around the fire goes whoa, whoa, whoa. And as two of them were getting up to go to leave, like about an hour later or something like that, I reeled myself and I was just like, Google satanic ritual abuse. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding.
oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
funny.
yeah, blue pill, man. The normie blue pill crowd cannot handle these sort of things, even just on a philosophical, speculative, hypothetical level. So yeah, it's a
Yeah, my
problem.
brother told me the other day, it's just like, it doesn't have to be a conspiracy, Vinny. It's like, well, actually, by legal definition, it's a group of people that are destroying some other people without those people knowing it was them. And legally speaking, that is a conspiracy. So that's what it has to be. The problem is that they just nuked this word conspiracy during the Warren Commission investigation of the JFK assassination, where all the commissioners that were appointed happened to be enemies of JFK, kind of like how all the people that had something to cover up over 9/11 happened to be on the 9/11 commission panel.
Yeah, yeah. Time and again, isn't it? So it's absolutely it's the way that power does what it wants, is what George Carlin said, and just put it very concisely. Power does what it wants. And do you remember the last interview? Maybe one or two you do, where he was one of the last interviews that I remember him ever. He was at a book signing event, and this young fellow came up to him and just asked while George was signing his latest release whether or not he thought that there would be a revisitation to, as with the JFK murder, looking a second look essentially at what took place on September 11th, and he dismissed the idea, basically saying that once again, power does what it wants, and that's what it means. Pouvoir en français, it means to be able to. So these people, what a tangled web they weave, and they all and Vinny, you've done extensive. You've put a number of documentaries together, and some of the coverage has had to do with Freemasonic fingerprints over, that can be found as far as any, within the political realm in particular. And Jacinda Ardern, you're the person I do recall hearing this from, reporting on how she was maybe working with her father at the time, but she helped to essentially put the lid on an investigation that was set to expose a number of very high-level British Freemasons in a major pedophile scandal. And that essentially, I think, is maybe what you claimed, or is this the turn of events that ended up leading to her becoming Prime Minister of New Zealand?
Well, no, that's not true. She was given a Freemason scholarship to
Right.
study political science and public relations, and then she was employed by the Better Business Bureau in the UK, and allegedly worked with Tony Blair.
Right.
And we don't have any evidence to actually substantiate that, though, so it didn't go in the documentary. But during the John Stalker affair in England was concerning high-level police being involved in child trafficking, who were also Freemasons. And in the city of London, for example, there became a ban on police officers who were sworn Masons actually getting to carry a shield, as it were. And this was simply a cover story, you know, like, oh, no Freemasons are allowed to be cop. Are you a Freemason? Yeah, come on and apply. You know, it's all right, it's all right. We're just telling people what they want to hear.
Yeah, that's a really critical point as well too. That needs to be upheld clearly, and but not just the Freemasonry, any fraternity or secret society. If someone is a member or even a dual citizen, as far as that goes, because the question is, well, where do their allegiances reside? You know, to whom do they hold the highest allegiance? And that's, you know, so ultimately
Well,
find
for
it
that matter,
conflict of interest, total conflict of interest right
for
across the
that
board.
matter, people who have a religion shouldn't necessarily be in public office either. Because who do you swear fealty to? Is it to your people or to your God, right? If you're Islamic or if you're Jewish or if you're Christian, let's say your country is passing an anti-Sharia law thing, and you are a Muslim politician that's supposed to be a representative of the people, but you're not. You're only representing Islam, aren't you? And the same goes for the Christians and the Jews. Of course, the Abrahamic religions. What about Buddhists? You know, what about Sikhs? You know,
Well,
it doesn't matter
what's a
really.
Buddhist
I
what's a
think
Buddhist
that's
going to do? That's somehow seen to be conflict of interest going against the larger, wider public interest.
I am.
well, you never
I
know.
am.
You never know.
I,
And the point is that one time a Buddhist went up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." And so the hot dog vendor does this. He makes him a hot dog and he gives it to him. Buddhist gives him $20 and takes the hot dog. He goes away and he eats it. And then he realized, man, this is a really good hot dog. But I just gave that guy $20. Where's my change? So he goes back into the hot dog vendor and he goes, mate, I gave you $20 and all I got was a hot dog. Where's my change? And the hot dog vendor goes, change comes from within.
That's right.
um,
Yeah.
I am sort of conflicted on the entire sort of religious and politician thing. I can see your point, but I'm also looking at it from a sort of country, sort of cultural sort of.
It's huge in America, isn't
Point.
it? It's huge in
Yeah.
America. You have to be pretty much like it was a big deal with Obama. Was you know, during his time in office, was he Muslim or what exactly? It was very. It could never be quite clearly established. Even back to Kennedy as a Catholic, JFK, right? That was a big deal at that time too. So, but it's almost like a prerequisite in America. So,
Well,
I'm
the
looking
thing
at it
is,
from two.
most
Sorry,
people
I'm
have
just
some
looking at
kind of
it.
religion. Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm just looking at it from 2 points of view. I'm looking at it from the sort of British sort of Christian heritage sort of cultural sort of point of view, and also on the other end, I'm looking at it from the sort of post 1979 Iranian point of view. Totally two opposite sort of directions. That makes sense.
well, secret
Right.
societies
And
are big. You know, the major deal, obviously, because one of the questions is why do they have to be secret? And then if these people are holding public office, what impact could that potentially have in in bringing policy about, right? Legislation. So
Okay. Okay, we shouldn't conflate secret societies with religion, really. They are two
I th-
or not, or an
yeah,
arguable point.
yeah, but
They're two different things.
it's almost like it goes deeper with secret societies. It's like occult, esoteric, where you're a card carrying member that things, there's a lot more skullduggery and underhanded, more potentiality for devious activities. So,
Yeah, or skullbonery.
right. Yeah, big time. Yeah, or yeah, bohemian antics, prancing, dancing, naked in the forests of now I guess a fiery forest of California, the redwoods, with your gay prostitutes that have been bussed in for the week. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It is what it is, and that's another issue too. Of course, with people in public office, two things. Plato himself did warn how we should be on guard and very wary of anyone who actively pursues, uh, power in a worldly sense, worldly power, and that's really very critical. Of course, we're seeing that. I mean, you see it time and again all through history. Of course, the way that's played out, and it hasn't been. It has hardly ever. Look at Netanyahu right now in the Middle East. That's one of the issues we're going to talk about. Syria, the Greater Israel project. They're doing quite well for themselves, as was mapped out in accordance, with the whole PNAC business, of course, just in the lead up to 9/11. And so they got their Christmas a little early that year, the PNAC crowd, Project for a New American Century. What was it? And then the subtitle was it Rebuilding America's Military?
Rebuilding America's defenses.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, there's a number of issues that we're thinking of discussing this week, including the California wildfires, and even if people have questions. Did you know, Vinny, that I don't know if you've probably heard about the attempt at bringing in martial law, which lasted for maybe 5 or 6 hours here, I guess, before he he called it off. It was a failed military coup, essentially, with these core group of insiders that because cronyism is a big thing here in South Korea. Cronyism, hugely. And this group of 5 people, President Yoon and the defense minister, and I think even like the minister of interior and whatnot, they long-standing relationships going back to high school. So as far as I can tell, they've been working on this, seizing power, and just doing whatever they wanted to with the country for probably the better part of 50 years. And you might not have heard about how they had planned to. Word got out how they had intended to, and I think Sonia and the others here have already heard me talk about this, but maybe some of our listeners have yet to have this presented to them. Dress up South Korean soldiers in DPRK uniforms, North Korean military fatigues, kidnap essentially the leader of the opposition, and then Yoon would come in as the hero. Total just dialectical staged event. Yoon would come in as the hero, sending these the special ops people in to essentially liberate and free the opposition leader. Lee Jae-myung is his name. Someone who there'd already been one attempted assassination, attempt on his life just a few months ago. Someone knifed him, actually. I think he was in the chest area, if I'm not mistaken. But he escaped with minor injuries, although there was pictures of him being taken out on a stretcher. He looked to be in pretty rough shape. So he was really lucky to escape with his life at that time. And golly knows who how that whole business was brought about or staged in the first place. But with this other kind of false flag that they were planning, that Yoon was going to send in the special forces to free Lee Jae-myung, the opposition leader, but then have him unfortunately shot and killed. It's just all a big mistake, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and then from that point declare martial law. While trying, broadcasting to the public that it was just they tried but failed to free him from the custody of the North Korean soldiers, who were actually once again South Korean soldiers dressed up to look like they were Norks, as it were. And there's a second part to the. Oh, I know what it was. They were planning on staging a war, but like a fake sort of either attack, maybe some rockets, or God only knows what, but declare that their war was in place with North Korea. They were in contact with the North. I guess his general and other high-ranking military people were. This is how crazy these people are. Stage this fake attack and pretext for military action, and then from there declare martial law once again because of that. So use that as a justification and grounds to essentially get what they wanted in the first place, which was martial law come hell or high water. It's one of these must be's, as they're known, a must be. The LOCKSTEP agenda was another classic, of course, right? The LOCKSTEP Rockefeller Club of Rome, scamdemic, and man-made climate change. That whole nonsense is another must-be. Just like Orwell talked about, repetition being truth, time and again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. And then people, just most of us, we don't engage in or practice any basic critical thinking skills, asking simple questions, right? So that's why we're so
Well, the
vulnerable.
thing is that people don't know how to discern truth. All right. You come up to me and say, how do you know something is true or not? And they don't know the answer to that question. And it's quite simple. It's just a couple of words: who, what, when, where, why, how.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? If you know the who, what, when, where, why, and how of something, you know the truth of it.
You can
It's just
report
that
on
simple.
it a lot
It's like
easier. Yeah, hard news format. That's right. Technique and approach, right.
Right. Now, hard news on top of that, if you want to report that to somebody else as the truth, you need three people who don't know each other to have given you the who, what, when, where, why, and how exactly the same as each other before you can consider it's truthfully enough that you can go and tell people about this, and back it up. Well, speaking of which, I'm getting a call from Billy TK right now, guys. I've got to go. I might be right back.
VinnyEastwood.com, I believe it is, or it could be net, but we'll get your show media links added to the archived end of things, whatever the case. Happy sailing, my friend. We'll speak again soon. Yeah, and he's muted, I guess, for the time being. But how about that, eh? So, Roger, you've been really quiet. You've been really quiet here. We typically connect with Vinny at least once a year. So he's had us on his show too, where he's put together, as you do, a like a syndicated, like a simulcast kind of deal, right? So,
I'm back, guys. Sorry about that.
Okay. Roger, do you have any questions for him?
Not at the moment. Right now, I'm trying to stay quiet because I've been doing like crap loads of uploads. So, and plus my audio's been acting weird. So I'm pretty sure you guys are hearing everything behind me.
Would you like to get Vinny on as a guest potentially at some point?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well,
it'd be really good.
Have to hook you up, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
In chat, Vinny is Vinny the one that has the real what was it? Is he the one in your Skype chat that said the other day that he's wanting to come on and everything?
No, I think that was within the vacuum. That's Sonia's Costa
Oh,
Rican friend
I know within the
from
vacuum.
out of via Mines. We're gonna do something together. So no,
Yeah.
I can't. Does anyone know who he's talking about or referencing here? I have no idea.
It was something real, something like real.
Oh, well, that's Angel, isn't it? Isn't that Angel Espino?
No, not real. It couldn't have been.
Okay.
It couldn't have been Angel. If it was Angel, never mind.
Okay. Well, okay, look, we got to cut away to commercial break here in just the next few minutes, but the inauguration is coming up here shortly, and Dan Bongino is sounding the alarm as far as Trump's potential vulnerability with the not just the inauguration per se, but how they have that traditional. It doesn't happen every time. Like George Bush, remember Jr.? I don't think he got out of the car. when they walked
shoes thrown at his face in Iraq.
That's
one
true.
Time.
Do you remember that?
Do you know why Arabs? You know why Arabs throw their shoes at their enemies?
It's an insult.
It's to show them. No, it's to give them a taste of defeat.
Too punny, Vinny, too punny.
Yeah.
So, but okay, so well, there's that going on, but also the wolf full moon spectacle and time frame that we're, a period that we're entering into here. Sonia.
Well, so back up the truck. Trump is getting inaugurated on a supermoon.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. That's sort of the deal
that's
here.
That's an occult practice right there, bro.
Well, but they can't really help it. Can he help it? That it's when it's scheduled. Like it's a standard, the way that things operate here on Earth in conjunction with the
we're talking over Sonia. Sonia, you had something to say?
Did she raise her hand?
Did she? Did it?
No, she's got her thing muted, so she's probably not.
Oh God, does she might have to kick herself out again. I have no idea. So your audio, there she goes. There she goes. Yeah, she's our
entire conversation.
Merchandise director. I'm not sure how you're suited for merch right now, Vinny, but she does a heck of a job putting T-shirts, coffee mugs, all kinds of great things together.
The Orange Man Bad hand cream.
Whatever you want, man. If you're looking for some, she can probably hook you up. Sonia?
Yeah.
Are you all about Orange Man Bad hand cream? Or not?
I don't know if that's available where I order things from, but we can create whatever kind of design.
Just give her a little while in the kitchen. She'll make you some. Get some Crisco and.
Yeah. Crisco, bro. No Crisco. That's
some
like
coffee beans in there.
Oh wow.
And I don't use that either, so I'm just saying Crisco's pretty bad.
Grind it up and put it in some Crisco and
ew.
Crush it up with your hands.
Jeff, what were you asking me?
A little bit of clay.
Oh, about the
kind of bentonite clay and some Crisco.
The supermoon. That's kind of the special event that we're kind of highlighting here and wanting.
Oh my God! I just had an image in my head of a bunch of Trump supporters with their pants down, leaning forward, and they've got Trump written on their buttocks as a big supermoon.
With Orange Man ass cream in the this kind of hovering in the rectal area. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, no. 5 butt cheeks have TRUMP, and
right,
the other and the other butt cheek on the far right has of course the United States flag.
You just came up with this idea?
I did.
Right.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm a lyricist, man.
Yeah. So yeah, Trump on his mind. Here's the thing. So let's hear it then from you, Vinny. I mean, I know I'm not all in as far as Trump goes. There's some things I think that he'll probably get right, and that'll make the country and hopefully the wider world a better place. But where do you kind of what is there anything that of his that you support?
He did last time.
What is there anything of his that you support? You think it's just going to be Trump 2.0, just a repeat?
No, it's just basically this is what happens with a crumbling democracy, right? The whole idea of controlling everybody with two wolves and a sheep voting for what's for dinner.
Right.
And every now and again, people will get pissed off with the current candidate or the current president. And then when they get pissed off, the next president or candidate will just say, oh, okay, well, we'll just tell everybody what they want to hear and they'll vote for us. And then we won't have to deliver on any of that stuff because the president doesn't actually run anything. The Federal Reserve Bank does. And if the Federal Reserve Bank is run by a bunch of Jewish families and Trump appoints almost like an entirely Jewish cabinet, like he did last time, we'll see the same things happening.
Yeah.
And so,
well,
he was going to get rid of the child traffickers, was he? Oh, okay. He was going to build the wall, was he? Oh, he was going to, he's going to make America great again. It's just like, dude, like these are just slogans for slow-minded people who still believe in the concept of the religion of government, which comes from the Latin governe, which means to control, and mente, meaning the mind,
right?
Which means that people are supporting mind control whenever they vote for a political candidate, regardless.
So you think that he'll just do the same? He's no different than Biden ultimately. Then, when it comes right down to it,
I mean, he's not quite as senile, perhaps, but other than that, if the bankers are still in control of America, it doesn't matter who makes the laws.
Will there be more stability, global stability, over the next 4 years?
No,
I don't know. I don't care. I don't think so. I don't think a president really makes a difference in that regard.
Donald Trump.
It's like
internally,
what do the
I think
bankers
so.
want?
But on
Yeah.
the wider, on the wider sort of point of view.
What's that, Mark? Speak up, please.
I think on an internal US sort of basis, potentially it'd be much more stable compared to what we've seen.
Yeah, he just
Trump. See, I'm not against Donald Trump, but I'm gonna be honest, dude. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. It's not gonna be stable.
Well, he's an actor, performer, and promoter and pitch man first and foremost, is he not? I mean, that's really one of the
who didn't even write his own book, The Art of the Deal.
Probably not. Yeah. He might have had some something to contribute, obviously, but yeah, like so much with politics. It's just appearance. It's just image and appearance.
I had to go back over like a broken record again, but if you're looking for a leader, what you want to look for is somebody who has a long track record of self-sacrifice for the good of others. Okay, Trump doesn't have that. All right. As soon as he got a small loan of $1 million from his daddy, those are his words. he became a money launderer for the New York Jewish mafia. The Meyer Lansky mob. That's why he had all those casinos, because that's how the Jewish gangsters could come in with all their drug money and gamble it away at the casino and then come out with clean money.
Right.
This guy's a gangster.
Right.
He's a freaking gangster. And you can't get real estate in New York City, in Manhattan, without being involved with the mob, it is said.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to have you on Robert's show. Yeah, I'm not sure how he would feel about that, because when it comes to Trump, it seems Robert Morningstar, he's a big booster and supporter of his, and I'm like I said, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm really a centrist. I've taken the the political compass test, and basically that's where I come out. You know, you can go a little left, or I can go a little left sometimes, a little right, a little, you know, up or down, but mostly just kind of in the central part of the political compass without getting too radical. And now when it comes to the cult of personality, that's a big thing with any politician, cult of personality. And that's a problem, clearly, you know, because then people are not looking closely enough at the policies themselves. Now, I would take you to task the human trafficking end of things. What other president other than him ever did anything on that front, even to make it an issue, let alone just what he may have come, you know, the end results of what he managed to produce. And then, of course, there's the World Health Organization, which Dr. Rita Lebeau, we've had on the show, Rita Lebeau, you know, that I asked her about this, and she was a little cynical. The devil's in the details, as it were, right? You just kind of, if you kind of start pulling things apart and looking at as Mark here likes to do, the terms and conditions and how things are actually implemented, applied, and enforced, that it's not always what it necessarily appears to be, or how we're led to believe. Its intentions are.
There are a couple interesting points, especially in relation to government efficiency. Is upcoming Department of Government Efficiency?
Oh, with Musk. Yeah. What is that? What are they calling it? What's the acronym?
DOGE. So, yeah,
what is
Department of Government Efficiency. I've got two points on this. Two views on this. There is a problem with any countries, Western countries, civil service, because it's heavily influenced by unions. You start firing civil servants, and then you're going to have unions on your back.
They're a central institution to the deep state. They're the permanent government. Presidents come and go every 4 years. The establishment bureaucrats, you're right. They're for life. Most of them.
Yeah. There's an old British joke that is about it's almost impossible to fire a civil servant. Once you're a civil servant, you're a civil servant for life. I've got a problem with Elon Musk's position in this. If Elon Musk is going to continue with criticizing other countries via his position in X, Twitter, and he's also going to act as a governmental, not minister, but a governmental representative, then he can easily be argued as the US government interfering in external sovereign countries, which could raise a load of issues. I mean, look what happened during the election when the British ministers invited Brits to go over to America or to the US and interfere with American elections, and the entire sort of Russian sort of conspiracy sort of idea.
I kind of see it as fair play.
Yeah.
You're talking about Russian collusion, yes?
Yeah.
Well, that went nowhere. That was, I mean, for anyone who hypothesized or put their money on it being a total fraud and distraction, they were proven correct. There's nothing.
And I see it as fair play anyhow with Elon Musk, because like, look at all the crap the EU is trying to push on the United States. I mean, with Elon Musk, what he's saying, that's just fair play. I mean, like the European Union and England's notorious about bureaucracy and socialism too. they would love to see our Constitution just go down the drain because
Actually, it's not attacking the US per se. It's attacking companies.
Right. You guys want regulations. You guys want regulations, and you want those good old bureaucrats behind every freaking desk telling us how we're supposed to breathe.
As we're seeing at this present moment,
I mean, it's like that's really what the problem comes down to. Then when you get somebody like Elon Musk who's speaking out against these people, I just think it's fair play because it's like, look at all the crap they're talking about us and they're attacking us with. Like now we can't even get on YouTube and actually do what we want because we're getting censored by the World Health Organization. It's constitutionally unconstitutional here in the United States for a company like YouTube to be enforcing those kind of regulations on us here in the United States. In your country, it's fine. They can get away with it, but not with us.
So that's why they can take us down maybe a little easier because we're based out of Korea, live streaming as we are geographically.
Yes.
Yep. It's because
this goes back to the conversation me and Tan and Roger was having last week on Mind's Chat in relation to these companies having offices in other countries.
Multinationals, corporations. And see, they have to abide by the local governments and their laws wherever their offices are. And if they have an office in England, they have to abide by the English laws. But then here in the United States, they have to abide by our laws. They can't go and they can't enforce the World Health Organization regulations on everybody. They have to go according to each country.
Yeah,
well, that's what we'd like to think, but once again, it's the LOCKSTEP,
that's
Rockefeller, Club of Rome agenda, and they're doing. Power does what it wants to.
International law mandates that this is the way they need to conduct themselves to be a multinational corporation.
Well, mandates, remember, are not laws, right?
Well, no, I mean, seriously, like it's an international law that says you have to do this or you cannot be a multinational corporation.
I mean, each country has to avoid to set its own laws.
Right, exactly. And those companies have to abide by each country's laws and regulations.
I mentioned last week there was potential two ways of companies like Meta Platforms and Cope resolving this. Either they create sort of much more modified principles, so each country will have their own Facebook or Twitter or whatever platform. So you'll have Facebook UK, Facebook America, Facebook Brazil, Facebook South Korea, or those companies have to remove themselves from those other countries. They have to remove their offices from those other countries. But I can foresee that impacting on their tax operations. Mm-hmm. And it's worth remembering that for a lot of these companies, the platforms, the products that they provide, or the taxation operations are bigger revenue drivers than the actual products that they provide.
Yeah. I think that they're just being lazy.
Wait a minute.
Honest with you.
Run that by us one more time. What you just said, they're capping things off, and we got to cut away to commercial break. But Mark, what was that last little bit that you had to offer?
It's worth remembering that as far as a lot of these companies, because of how the organizational structures are set up, the tax operations are often bigger revenue drivers than the actual products, the platforms that they provide.
What about advertising? How does that tie into things?
In what sense?
Well, as far as revenue generations goes.
Revenue,
platform revenue generation.
Yes, so I'm missing your point a little bit. Advertising is just a means of promoting your platforms to the audience or to your intended audience.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if anyone else has anything more they'd like to add to the conversation at the moment. We're going to return and kind of give a bit of a breakdown as far as the wolf full moon period that we're transitioning through at present. And people, they'll sometimes ask me, and maybe they'll ask you as well, what's your religion? And as far as I'm concerned, we all live our own religions. We're in the period of time and location where we are able to draw upon all of the great traditions. You can maybe call it perennial philosophy to some extent, I guess. But why not keep an open mind? And you see that clear across the board. It's like every religion that there is out there, pretty much. No killing, no stealing, no lying, no sexual misconduct, and then this whole business of intoxicants, alcohol in particular, is a big issue. So, and not, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, which is kind of problematic if you're gay. If you think about that, doing unto others as you would have others do unto you, that could lead to having you, find yourself behind bars on charges of buggery or on uninvited sodomy or what have you, if you catch my drift. And I'm sure there's many other examples. That's why there's the opposite. It's like, I think it's Confucian. Isn't it Confucian? Do not do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. That I think is maybe a little more applicable, basically. So the
So
first,
are you saying that certain people would like to have to be violated, would like other people to have non-consensual sex with them?
Jolly Rogered. Jolly Rogered, Mark. Right, Mark?
Okay.
Little Rogering for Mark. Oh, look at that. Who the young group of upstarts there, who could that possibly be? I wonder now. Might that be Canada, early 70s? Who's a wild man on the accordion? And then, and then the clarinet and keyboards. That group looks pretty serious. Step aside, Bee Gees. No, what I'm saying is, as far as just as an example, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. If you want to be violated, then you would violate others, right? It's like, well, I want them to do all these nasty things to me sexually, so I'm going to do that to them. So that's why it's a bad way of phrasing things. The golden rule. Not saying, that those with the gold make the rules, which I think we all agree to. Money, military, media, three legs of any nation state's, the stool, that holds up and supports the nation state. But fourthly, from what I can gather, it's mafia, of course, too. Organized crime is never too far afield as far as the political infrastructure and apparatus is concerned. I mean, just look at what we're seeing there in the slideshow with Zelensky and this rogue president out of Korea there on the left, Yoon. So birds of a feather, folks. So, but I'd like to get a little more into the supermoon end of things, esoteric angle. Sonia, I'm not sure if you think that tarot would be applicable at this particular time. I think it might be, in the sense that you could just perhaps, or we could all together try to focus a little thought intention experiment along the lines of what the late great Art Bell used to occasionally basic what he would engage in essentially and launch these group thought intention experiments. People focus on helping, sending positive energy, vibes, prayers, all that kind of good stuff to people, which we ourselves have experimented with here in the past, and it's been really quite something. Where the results and response has it's been amazing. Where people have gone to the hospital, and we've reached out to them on a, I guess you could say, psychic level. Who knows where the cosmic ether, whatever the case is, asking spirit guides, angels, protectors to reach out and to help. And people, they're in the hospital, suddenly they get up and they just walk right out, no longer suffering from the symptoms or condition that initially put them in the emergency room. So how about that? But as with the tarot, it's something that I don't often really like to go to, frankly. I Ching is another example. As intriguing and fascinating as it all is, that I just don't see it as something that should be toyed with. Sometimes Satan comes as a man of peace. Bob Dylan, Infidels. What is it? 1983. So yeah, President Yoon. So they're still working on trying to deliver an arrest warrant to the man. He's barricaded himself in the presidential building. Not exactly the Blue House. He's been relocated since having to face impeachment, and the impeachment did, of course, successfully go through. But unfortunately, he's barricaded right now. A lot of his supporters not allowing. You would think that would be very unlawful or illegal. Distinction to be made there too, of course, between. And Mark Passio is a good example. Someone who's an expert in his field can really break it down, the distinction between legal and lawful. But they're blocking, impeding these. The police who are there to deliver the warrant. So along with his presidential security, folks too. So detail, I think, is the proper word, presidential security detail. But yeah, we shall continue here after the break. Just ask that everyone mutes out, of course. I'm not sure maybe how long Vinny can stick around. It's great to have him on board here, though. And we look forward to, reconnecting with him at some point, whether after the break or just a little further on down the road. So let us remind you, of course, as far as sponsors to this week's live stream are concerned, Red Dragon Herbs and Teas. With every order of $25 or more, you automatically receive a 10% discount. How cool is that? Moreover, and let Ryan know, of course, too, that one of two things, either pirate radio or pirate code. That's how you unlock the savings and discount. Over on the CannaSense Cannabis Collective front, 5813 is our referral code. So do take note of that. Check out the great line of items, products that they have available, and be sure to make the most of their great selection. We'll be back here in just a flash, folks. Do not touch that radio dial or computer mouse.
Medical cannabis is now legal by telemedicine. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card. Contactless appointments available at CannaSense.com. For as low as $39, you can get reviewed for a medical cannabis card. That's CannaSense.com for a licensed medical cannabis doctor review. CannaSense.com has all the information you need to get connected with a doctor for a $39 medical cannabis appointment. CannaSense.com. CannaSense is common sense.
catering exclusively to the Des Moines, Iowa area and beyond. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas is a small, family-owned business dedicated to the creation of only the finest quality artisan herbal tea blends. Drawing upon many of the world's most richly established customs and traditions, Red Dragon Herb's mission is about more than just getting their products out to the market. They also strive to help educate their customers on the wider benefits, history, and folklore of all their plants. Of course, any seasoned pirate knows when they're fixing to tango with the Kraken, you best be powered up with at least one of the finest select quality premium items freely offered via Red Dragon Herbs and Teas wide inventory. Choosing from any of their caffeine-free headache relief or rest and relaxation blends, history has proven their products among the best sources of scurvy prevention and vitamin supplementation. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief.
Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief. Welcome back, folks. It is the final segment to what we have left here. Episode number 303. Look at that numerology. World Pirate Radio News. Myself, your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. We got a great crew on board here with us this go-round, including the one and only Vinny Eastwood via New Zealand. Jolly Roger Hansen out of West Frankfort, Illinois. Sonia Galactic, the network's merchandise director and co-producer. She's recently taken on that title and seems quite energized and enthusiastic, committed to getting the job done. So we're going to ask that more people interested in connecting with us and finding themselves booked as guests reach out to Sonia while we busy ourselves here with other matters, including the fact that after tonight we'll be 4 shows behind so far as the archived end of things is concerned over on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute. And, Minds.com came up recently, interestingly. Someone, East Bay Truther, they're a real mover and shaker, a definite player, and a force to be reckoned with over on Minds.com. They seem like a pretty decent personality as well. So, but what they did was they left a comment on one of our recent posts saying that we should upload our content, the shows that we do, to Minds itself. Just a quick question on that note to Mark, who stepped away from his chair, unfortunately. Maybe Roger could field this one, perhaps. But does that require you to be a Minds like a pro profile or user, as it were, where you're forking out a few excess doubloons that you probably don't have?
You'd have to be a Minds Plus for live streaming. But whenever he's talking about, like, on your videos, to upload them, you would have to upload them directly on there as a Minds Plus member. They only give you like maybe 5 to 15 minutes if you're just a regular member.
Well, and that's something too that maybe that could be the way to go for the time being. Just a little sample, a taste of what more we have to offer in the broader sense. But 15-minute segment seems not too bad. That's all we really need. So You know, one downside too, it's something we kind of where we're dropping the ball here routinely is we never put any show notes together. I used to do that, but I just sort of gave up on the whole business. Uh, I think Naroki is pretty good with that whole thing, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what I'm talking about as far as timeline and that sort of deal.
Yeah, Mark and Tan started forcing me into doing it. I'm getting sick of it too, but they keep bullying me and telling me what to do.
Well,
strong arming.
I have the view that just providing URLs, just providing links on a post is not sufficient. That's not going to bring your audience into it. Just add a link to a post. It's just lazy, really. You need a descriptive, some descriptive information there to attract an audience in the first place.
Hear that shit?
Here, Mark, then is you would be happy to help us out and get the job done. Is that right?
There you go. You're smart. Good call, dude.
I'll advise.
You dug yourself a real hole now, Mark.
Love it.
You really stepped in it.
I'll act as a consultant if you wish. Yeah.
Those two.
Oh no, we're not talking
forced me to do
consultant.
it.
We're talking someone who actually, gets their hands a little dirty, and down to business and executing.
If you have a look at
the
my
content in
own my
place,
channel, I
clearly.
spend quite a long time actually writing descriptions and titles.
We have show descriptions. We have, if people look at the every show that we have in 3 different formats too. Remember, we do the World Pirate Radio News at this particular time every week. Pretty much is what we shoot for here. Excuse the pirate pun, but it is what it is, and it has its own unique flavor and taste and approach, of course, style. Friday nights. Back in the West, it's a Saturday kind of deal, 1 p.m. here in the afternoon out of Korea. It's the feature show. So, and that's a total, and where we just have one-on-one kind of conversations with somebody in the hot seat, that we reckon, has a story that the wider world would like to share. Or have heard, rather, right? Like to share with the wider listening world, obviously. So, and then Late Night in Korea, totally different deal, different time slot, and each has their unique description, flavor, and format. Like with Late Night in Korea, for example, we play videos, a lot of video content, where I just do the introduction with the first, maybe I always try to keep it as short as possible, but end up just stream of consciousness carrying right along for about an hour or so, and then transition either to we sometimes have guests on board with Late Night in Korea because it's a good time where it's 11:30 in the evening here in South Korea, and that's a very early morning start for the people in the West. But Europe and beyond, it's an afternoon type deal. So we've been fortunate in that sense, having the chance to connect with people, via Europe and beyond. So, but it's a pain in the ass, man. Like, time stamping and each, 5 minutes we talked about this, then we transition to the next topic and so on and so forth. It's just
the issue with this show is it's a bit more, I don't know, fluid. We can jump from one subject and then back again, and then compared to
have you read the show description end of things?
He used to put out a PDF.
Generally you
just
have
read it out. Check it out. Read out the show description to what we have here in conjunction with World Pirate Radio News. And Sonia, how are things looking on the tarot front? And what I'm thinking there is not something that's applicable to us per se, but the wider world, where we can see the wider world, the planet that we live on, and its place within the cosmos. Of course, transitioning to, and like if we can potentially use the power of the this particular time and period to transform things for ourselves personally, but everyone throughout the entire universe in a helpful, beneficial manner. But there's too much suffering, too much misery, too much needless, death and agony that we could help alleviate, if possible. So she's in and she's out and she's back again. Isn't that usually a man's job? You'd be in and out and back again.
Well, apparently around here I do all kinds of stuff, so there you go.
All right.
Them glasses. Look at them glasses.
What do you think? Bring your camera down a little bit. What do you think? What do you think of the Carol? I was thinking just like because this is a special time with the full wolf moon period that, like, do you know about do you want me to read to you what I have here as far as the description goes via DuckDuckGo, the way they break it down, the synopsis, or?
Sure.
Okay. In the meantime, let's have you okay. Let's have you, I mean, do what you want, I suppose, whether shuffle the cards or
shuffling.
Yeah. Maybe we can just quiet ourselves and kind of heart vibration, crown chakra. Body, speech, mind. Well, this month we'll see the full wolf moon occult Mars. That's interesting. Occult Mars for a few hours.
It's not a blood moon at the moment, so.
But it will be, is that right? When it occults Mars, it becomes a blood moon?
Well, tonight's not a super blood moon. No, there's going to be one. I believe it's on in March. I know that much.
Okay.
But that's the one where those are the really significant ones.
So it occults blood. Yeah, occults Mars, and you can bet that the people who practice like ritual magic in one form, fashion, or the next are out there actively engaged doing their thing. So
well, I know it has to do with the harvester moon, and then you have a lunar eclipse, and then you have a lunar eclipse on top of a full moon. So it makes the moon look red. Oh no. He's gonna run off and take care of the cats. You hear that?
Yeah.
In Korea, I wonder if he's gonna eat them.
Ew.
He's from Canada. I've been asking the question about people in Canada, like, are they eating each other? And then this thing about freaking like horse meat, like my mom keeps watching that television show Heartland, and I always see freaking horses, but I rarely ever see any cows. So, like,
Ew.
What's the deal? Are Canadians like eating horses and shit?
I hope not. Come on.
Well, they're the ones that came up with the Wendigo, right?
Really?
I said indigo. Yeah, they're the ones who came up with the Wendigo, and the Wendigo was started over people eating each other, cannibalism.
Okay.
So that's a good question, and like, there's so many people disappearing in Canada.
Right. All over.
Yeah, horse eating is a much more of a European thing. So Canada has a lot of heritage of not only British but French.
Well, I mean, let's stop picking on the French, Mark. I mean, everything
I'm
around.
just saying that
It's yeah. It's like
not
every time, dude.
unusual for the French
Frenchmen.
like to consume quite a
lot of horse.
it's quite a broad diet, let's to say.
Okay, so we're talking about horse meat, not cannibalism. All right. I finally caught on to what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about cannibals, like
no, it's broad, but it's not that broad.
Well, I mean, it's like most of the disappearances come from like Saskatchewan, so it could be actually true. They could be eating humans. I'm not sure about all that, but I've heard that the majority of disappearances that happen usually are around the Yukon and down in Saskatchewan. Probably because the bears, though. Am I doing good at like occupying the time so that
you're doing it, Bob?
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm just not shuffling while you guys are talking about stuff like that because that's kind of ooey.
Kind of ooey.
Yeah, ooey gooey.
You've been hanging out with Lynn Vacuum too much. You got all soft and lovey-dovey and shit, didn't you?
Yeah, well, he does that to people, you know.
They all do that shit. They want you to like freaking be Care Bears and shit and
Care Bears.
Yeah. All of them. Like you go over there, you hang out, and freaking all of a sudden, like Bob Dove and Within the Vacuum are talking about love and freaking holding hands and shit. And like, are you serious? Shut up, dude.
All
and then they tell stories about like dragons that are cute and funny, and they bounce around all the time and shit, dude. Dragons aren't made to freaking be bouncing and loving.
Cute, yeah. She does have a cute dragon there.
You're supposed to fight the dragon and cut its head off and then bathe in its blood for immortality and shit. You know?
It's really.
That's what they're there for. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. It's like in D&D, okay? You're supposed to hate the orcs. There's no love for the orcs. There's no political correctness when it comes to orcs.
Right.
Was the recent Netflix or Amazon thing about orcs being a racial slur?
Yeah, orcs and elves. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not really so much, actually.
Well, I know you're not.
D&D's pretty cool, though. You know, I like that. That's neat. For sure.
Have you played D&D?
Once when I was a kid. I'd like to play again, though. I think it would be fun.
If you play, you're going to be around a lot of dorks. Just to let you know ahead of time, like
dorks and orcs. No.
and they do weird shit, like they start talking in weird voices and stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, maybe that's where my soulmate is, over there in the dork land of D&D guys. Could be.
Maybe.
Not too many D&D players freaking get married, okay? Just
I know, right?
It just doesn't happen.
Not so much. Not so much. I actually went on a date recently. A guy I met on one of the apps. He was a D&D guy, and like the whole time we went and seen that movie, the new fucking the Lord of the Rings, the cartoon one. It was pretty sweet, actually. But yeah, the whole time he was talking about D&D, everything, which was cool, I guess. And then like he never like texted me after that, so apparently he didn't like. I don't know.
Well, you wasn't.
Everything was fine, so I don't know.
You wasn't talking the D&D language. First of all, I gotta ask you an important question. You did not say anything good about Star Trek, did you? Just okay. Just don't.
Star Trek even come up.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because if you're hanging out with a person who plays D&D, there's usually a good chance that they're Star Wars fans. And Star Wars and
good to know.
Star Trek and D&D kind of like D&D fans who watch Star Trek are like gayfers, dude. They're little, you know what I mean? It's like freaking.
Wow, I did not know that. That's good to know.
They most of them watch Star Wars. So like if you're on a date with them and you're talking to them, don't ever say good stuff about Star Wars.
It's kind of like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles.
Yeah.
It can be that way. Or cats and dogs.
Right.
So as you probably can see, I've got on here on the screen here, and you know, if anything jumps out at you, feel free to you know, contribute what you're wanting to. January full moon, disappearing behind the full wolf moon Monday for many stargazers. Throughout January, also look up to see Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter in the night sky. Now, there's something I went out and took a look last night out in the east. The east of where we're situated here, the apartment complex, and you know, the moon seems to be in a pretty generally consistent place during the early evening hours. And yeah, there's something there in the east. I'm not sure if it's was it Venus or what exactly, but you know, the eastern star, who the hell knows? So it was right very close to, you know, in line with and vicinity of the moon. So I really couldn't tell you, but it's pretty cool. It's just to kind of meditate and try to, you know, connect with the energy, because, you know, if only because we are all one. I do believe. I mean, that's just it should be self-evident, really. Like us and every last little nanoparticulate on the furthest, you know, at the furthest, you know, regions within the furthest regions of the universe, on any multitude of different levels and dimensions, it all intersects. And the only thing that really, mainly what's blocking it all is our egos, our ignorance and stupidity, you know, just an overly inflated sense of self. So does anyone care to, any objections? You know, so, but.
Did you get the joke that Vinny was telling earlier about the Buddha?
And the hot dog make me one with everything?
Yeah, make me one with everything.
That was a dad joke. Like,
no, that's a Vinny joke. That's one of his standard.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I like
what was the punchline again? It's like change comes in time or something.
Change comes from within.
Ah, yes. Change comes
one
within.
of my T-shirts go within.
That was hilarious. Well,
and I like the shoe joke too. You remember that one?
Oh, what was the?
If you guys forgot about that, why do Arabs throw shoes at their enemies?
Oh yeah.
Punchline.
Something about foot. I know that.
Way to go! You bombed on the punchline, dude. Get off the stage.
I wasn't wanting to say the joke. I'm just like,
it's a set up punchline, timing. You know, the whole thing of feeling and the whole. Not that I'm a student. I'm not an expert. It's a perpetual student of comedy. Speaking of which, have I reminded you guys of Only Murders in the Building? Steve Martin and Martin Short.
I remember hearing that last week.
You do torrents, don't you?
No, not so much.
But
I can.
To check it out if you get a chance.
Sure.
It's really quite hilarious. And the great thing about Steve Martin is he's been very mindful throughout the years, even though he's probably, as I often assert and suspect, a flaming.
What?
Well, who knows? You know, label liberal is one of those things that you don't hear me. You know, I don't reference that too often because it's just so broad, and it doesn't really seem to indicate that much, clearly indicate. Is this more of a kind of a blanket statement, the way that people try to frame or smear others, put them into their certain categories, one or the other. So, but Steve Martin's really smart. With politics, he never takes a side. If you'll notice, you never hear him speak out against Trump or any of the other candidates or people in office. Maybe the occasional little joke directed towards them or dealing with them and their lives in politics, careers, policies. But look at Johnny Carson, even back to the day of Johnny Carson, where things were compared to tonight, or this day and age, what passes for professional late night comedy. It's just so I don't know if the word is contrived. It's a one-sided, biased, to the point where it's not even many cases. It's just not funny in a lot of cases where they try to look at how Saturday Night Live has gone downhill over the years. Although they sometimes, if you tune in, I find that they'll have good, decent bits for sure, little skits and things that are worth watching. So
now, do they still have a Saturday night show?
They used to even have one in Korea here, believe it or not, but then they got censored.
Because I don't know for sure if they still even air Saturday Night Live on Saturday. I mean, it's been that long ago where I couldn't even tell you if they still actually play it on TV.
Yeah, they do. They do. You can, because if you follow the news at all, they'll report on it sometimes, and yeah, like sure. Just check it out wherever, if you feel the interest, and there you go.
So,
the rest is up to you. Let me just get back to this blood moon, though. How about that? The wolf moon. Is that okay, Sonia? And are you thinking, can we, once again, does it make sense to maybe do something for, not for us and the network, but just the wider kind of macrocosm?
Sure, like just the vibes.
For over the next, leading up to and even following the inauguration period, as far as the planet.
So you want to know about the supermoon? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, so let me just say, wolf moon eats Mars on Monday. Okay, eats Mars. That's interesting. War is being consumed. The
cannibalism.
God. Pardon me?
Cannibalism.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at right now with the planet as a whole, with the, beware the military-industrial complex. The Ouroboros. Is everyone familiar with the Ouroboros?
Yeah, the Ouroboros.
The snake that consumes its own tail.
Yep.
I think it's mythological, I guess, but it's poetic.
It's tied in a lot of lore for different cultures. Like even the Vikings have their own version of it too.
Check this. Also known as the center moon, freeze-up moon, and the hard moon, the wolf moon got its name in a nod to the wolves. Basically, it's like, freezing cold in January. I'll click on the Yahoo link, I guess. That's what we're getting here with our search results. Are you familiar with the lore and the history? The wolf moon name nod. The wolves believed to howl more during January, as the first few weeks of winter cloak the ground in frost and snow. The old Farmer's Almanac says. How about that, hey? The Farmer's Almanac? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is pretty cool.
Where do you think all the good where do you think all the good astrology and everything came from in the first place here in the United States or in America? Man, the Farmer's Almanac was always talking about that stuff, and calendars and stuff. That's where all the stuff comes from.
Yeah. This would have been another great promo photo. We'll probably talk about this next week as well, because I think it's extending. Is anyone clear on the period exactly? The dates? It's a course of about, I don't know, it's like a week or 10 days, really. So, all right, purposes.
I gotta go here in a few, Jeff.
You have to go, or you're ready to go?
I have to go. I'm picking up my son in the morning.
Okay. Let's have you do your tarot thing if you're.
I shuffle, say when, and we'll pull a card.
We have to say when?
You have to. Say when.
1, 2, 3. When?
Great. Okay, we have the Two of Pentacles. Where's my camera? Here we go. This is has to do with balancing finances and balancing things that are material, such as assets, things like that. And this is not a major arcana card, which means that this is kind of passing quick. It's not something that is, I guess you could say, karmic or soul involved. So, so there's that one. I think we should pull another one. Let's see. I'll go ahead and choose this one, unless somebody wants to, say when.
Roger, Mark.
Wait.
Okay. Oh, and then we have the Nine of Wands. This is this has to do with like being kind of fortified in your inspiration or your aspirations, and kind of protecting them. And it's also there's not much more to go with this as far as being fortified goes. You're kind of built up to where any more could become burdenous. So,
See,
but
you should never have me do that.
Minds.com, man. Minds.com's gotta dial it down a little. Just too much window dressing. They're adding too many bells and whistles. But this is minor arcana as well, correct?
Yeah, it is minor arcana. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nine of Wands, and the first one, Nine of Wands, and the first one was the Two of Pentacles.
Yes, it's like a juggling act with material, such as money or assets or things of material nature.
Mm-hmm.
It could be property, anything like that.
And we basically, our intent with this was to get a sense of where we're headed. The world essentially is headed over the next short period of time. Inauguration.
So to me, I would say that with this one, we're looking at getting affairs in order, trying to figure out what goes where, and where maybe this has to do with funding at some sort. And then this one would have to say that this is almost like a guarding as well, and being prepared for like battle kind of thing within your aspirations or your intentions. So so that's a positive thing, I would think. Or
no need to build up any further, expand. It's just focus, I think, and that applies to us here as a good example of, I think we got what we need. It's just a question more of refinement and bringing it all, kind of knitting it together a little more cohesively.
Getting it in order.
Have it running more fluidly. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to do another one, or what do you think?
No, I mean, you've got to go unless these other guys are, what's the standard approach? Three is I guess three is.
It's kind of whatever you want to do, really. So
Mark, Roger, we could go for 3. 3 is a good number. That's a magical kind of.
It's Mark's turn.
Mark, say when.
You gotta say
when.
Okay. Oh my. Okay, so this is the Four of Pentacles. This actually, or is it the 4? No, it's the 5. Sorry, it's the 5. And this actually has to do with kind of weathering the storm. As far as finances go, there again, it's Pentacles, so it would have to do with material items or financial security, things like that.
Yeah.
So as you can see, these two walking there, they're kind of not doing that great.
Yeah.
But they're weathering the storm kind of
This
thing.
is us, man. This is totally us. All three of those apply not only to us, but also, like, you know, as above, so below, micro and macro. I didn't even want it to be done, like in reflection of what's happening here, but it does reveal a lot as far as organizing and, you know, working to keep it together and on track and moving ahead in a positive way.
Maybe this also indicates maybe not watching finances and maybe not spending them in places where they should not be spent, kind of thing.
Talk to the wife, Sonia. Please, somebody help me.
Right.
So, wow, there we go. Well, thank you. Is there anything more you'd like to add to that before you head off and pick up your son?
No, I just, I'm very excited to pick up my son. I haven't, well, I've been to visit him and stuff, but my sister, or his sister, my daughter, him.
He's getting released from jail today. Is that right?
At 6 a.m. So we don't want to, you know, be late, and it's just crazy. Everybody's all like excited and stuff. So yeah, and he's just over the top, you know.
Oh, so you want to get some sleep? Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Has he had to deal with any serious incidents of people, like he's been no problems with violence? Like, you see a lot of it, but being in the middle of it is another thing, right? So it's
another thing. It stays away from crazy people, he says, because there's a lot of them in there, he says.
Yeah. What and how long did he serve?
9 years.
Holy jeez. He didn't get any reduction of his sentence?
The first 2 times he did, but there's the 3 strike thing going on.
Oh my God. So hold it. So the third time, is this all because of his violent tendencies?
It's because of drugs mainly.
So he's been high. He's been high on drugs every time?
Well, stealing things, because when when he was involved with that sort of thing, he would go steal things. So, and that's how it all started.
To fuel his addictions.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, he's a wild story, so, you know.
Has he cleaned up? Do you think he did any work on the inside where he's like, he wants to get his act together, make a go of things?
Grow up in there in the last 10 years, because he's 33 now, so he was quite young when he went in.
Yeah.
And
so
he's really gotten into math more, and he's really looking forward to a career. He's trying to get a career together, and he's got like sharp taste. Like, he's like almost metro, actually, you know what I'm saying?
Metrosexual?
No, well, he has to have like clean shaven, and he has to have certain clothes on, or he's just not happy, kind of thing.
I want that whole thing with it's hetero. It means that you're attracted to someone of the opposite sex, that you want to, you're open to having, intimate relations with them. Homo, right. It's people that are the same, that you're all about, getting it on with. With this metro business, doesn't that mean that you go around and you want to kind of rub your genitals up against any bus or subway you see?
That's me, dude.
Metro.
Not that I know
of, Metro, do the Metro. Oh. This big machine.
I want to rub my balls on everything. I want to go and I want to rub my balls on trees.
Like, he likes to decorate and make sure everything's just so.
Oh, well, he's not. Well, he has been in jail for 9 years, so we got to wonder maybe where that's come from.
He's been talking to several women, so I think he's still hetero, But I mean, there again, I'm not wanting to really talk to him.
You two need to stop knocking on wanting to rub your balls against shit. I mean, hell, dude, I want to rub my balls against the fire hydrant.
You need to be castrated. To hell with that. Just cut them off, dude. You're done. That's enough.
Actually, that's going to be one of my topics here before long. I want to talk about how people used to be idolized and thought of as freaking important because they got their balls cut off.
The eunuchs played a really big role in the courts of the kings. That's right, down through history. As did the jester. The jester, I love the jester. He's the zero in the tarot. The zero, the wild card, right? So, anyways, well, you want to get some sleep then? Is that what you're saying? You want to get some good rest? Okay. Well, thank you. And Sonia, so we have your information here, but just to recall, it's SoniaGalactic.com, is it not?
No, it's a galacticfire.com.
Galactic Fire. That's right. Yeah. And that's Galactic with 2 E's.
Nope, just one E.
Oh,
Instead of
Galactic.
E.
Okay. Yeah. TEC. Yeah.
And for all the bitchin' t-shirts you could ever really want so much, you know. And then some coffee mugs, of course, you guys' stuff.
We've got them in the slideshow now. We've actually added them so people can occasionally they'll pop up and see them. So thank you so much.
Yellow t-shirts are over there too. I'm going to be redoing the website to where I'm going to maybe incorporate like a guest thing going on, you know, like if you're interested in being a guest, you know. So it's going to be rearranged here pretty soon. But right now it's set up great to where people can order t-shirts.
You mean a guest on our show, or what are you talking about?
Sure. Like a contact area for
contact. Yeah. Just a little co-producer, or just co-producer blurb in conjunction with Pirate Radio podcasts. Definitely, that helps a lot. Thank you. We have so many people in the queue this week. We have Robert Morningstar coming along with his a good friend of his, Janan, is their handle, Jill Anon, and it's a double feature, Manhattan double feature. One is where Robert's going to be providing his analysis, predictions of, because he is a well-known civilian intelligence analyst who has been on Coast to Coast AM on multiple occasions. So the fact that he wants to have anything to do with us makes me really kind of wonder what's going on. You know, he's very kind of a mystical kind of guy. He's had multiple mystical experiences, and he's a dreamer. You know, he's incredible Tai Chi, and you know, he's got a real soft, easygoing side. But oh my God, look out, because like don't want to cross. He's a hardcore New York kind of personality too, and only murders in the building. I keep reminding him of that, but he's yet to check it out. But if you want a few good laughs and just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, like definitely, you know, do the torrent thing and get your hands on that content. So and then of course his significant other, his colleague there will be coming in and discussing this historical figure. Tompkins was a surname. I think first name maybe William, and he's a Freemason and someone who is really kind of passed by under the radar as far as historical recognition is concerned. You know, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin types of that caliber, but this Tompkins character, she asserts, played a much more central role in that period of the War of 1812 and beyond, with even like abolition. The abolition.
I'm thinking of a different William Tompkins then. I'm thinking about the dude who built like UFOs or whatever, like ships.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was born under the same name in a later generation. Who knows how these things work, right? Yeah. So, all right, we'll let you go, and we're going to just kind of wrap things up here ourselves. So, happy sailing.
It was fun. Yeah, happy sailing.
Congratulations for your son.
Oh, thanks, Roger.
Yeah, good stuff. Hopefully he stays on track. You know, it's it can't be easy. It can't be easy, obviously, you know, however you look at it. So I've actually watched a lot of, like, as of late, like prison documentaries are really quite intriguing. The way that the system itself, you know, and they call it the justice system. That's just a load of crap. I don't buy that for a minute. And that's not the sort of language I ever use. You know, it's a legal system, first and foremost. Justice is secondary to its raison d'etre, and only occasionally do we find justice, you know, as being the end product of what they have to what they produce, what they have to offer. I don't know. Does either of you take exception to that, or are you sort of are you feeling me as Angel Espino?
I think it inducts people into it, because like like with her, when she's talking about her son, that's the way my cousin was, you know.
Really?
Yeah, he went right down that same path, and then I had my best friend that I grew up with, Noble. His little brother, Timmy, was like 13 or 14, and he got busted for trying to steal a lawnmower out of this woman's backyard. went to juvie. He went to juvie, and from that point on, he ended up staying behind bars. Like it wasn't for one charge, but eventually he'd always get busted and go back. And this was just one time right after another. You know, he'd find reasons to get in trouble, and it was because he was taught that way. You know, they go in, they get taught how to behave by criminals, and then when they get out, they do the same stuff so they can go back in. So. Because they really don't want to be out in the real world with us. Most people who are have a criminal mind, they just keep repeating the same shit. You know, and that's the way my cousin was, and Timmy too. That's the only way they thought. You know.
He's still alive?
Well, Tim, I don't know about. I haven't
your
heard
cousin?
from him My cousin, yeah, he's back in trouble, and freaking the 3-time rule, that's a load of shit too. Like, they try to tell you like third time and you're in for good, and that's not the way it works. He's already been in trouble 3 times, and he's out running around causing shit still again. At least that's what I heard from my sister. But
any violent crimes?
No
charges?
Drugs. It was the exact same thing that Sonia said. It was drugs. He gets high, and he just, no matter what, man, he just starts doing crazy shit because he's high.
Has he been through rehab in prison or not?
I think he weaseled his way out of prison, getting his time reduced because he freaking went into a drug program. But like that was just so he could freaking get something out of it. You know what I mean? Like when he came out of prison, it was done. He never went back to it or anything like that.
Well, there's a couple things. Recidivism, I think, is the term, right? Where you basically you go back, right?
Yeah.
After supposedly having been, reformed, or not having the opportunity to amend your ways, and so there's that angle, and the percentage, the rates and percentage, of course, of how what we're looking at on that front, and even you could break it down on a state to state basis too, and how each state laws, the statutes, what's on the books, and how it's enforced, and how sometimes the cops, legal law enforcement turns a blind eye. You know, I mean, come on, how many times have we either seen this directly or heard about it, secondhand, or come across it on the news? And then there's another issue, of course, too. I think he's still around, that Joe Apiro down in Arizona. One of Trump's favorite sheriffs, I guess, badass. And think or say of him, think of him what you like. It's a major industry, this private for-profit, and remember, it is for-profit, folks, prison labor industry, where essentially they are used in many instances, and many ways. What they end up doing, they find themselves becoming the competition, labor, cheap labor, and competition to what the third world has to offer, China and Africa and elsewhere. So
me and Mark were talking about that actually before, when it comes to like what people term as fascism today. They don't even understand what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean? Because like freaking you have the socialist program that wants to put people in prison, and then they turn around and they monopolize the freaking jobs that are put into, like, people making food in the cafeterias or cleaning the prisons, or the guards. They have to be like certified and have to take all these tests in order to do it, just so they can become a person who's able to build a prison or work in a prison, or you know what I mean? So it's all becoming a monopoly, and that's how fascism was started. They took socialist programs and they monopolized it. So That's fascism.
Well, I mean, so are you agreeing with or taking exception to the way that Mussolini defined it?
Mussolini defined it like that. That's exactly how Mussolini did it.
You know what he said? He said it in a word. It was corporatism.
Right.
Yeah.
And where he simply put, it's not complicated. There's no reason to complicate things. You have government in bed with the corporate world. They work together. They incestuously private-public partnerships. Private-public partnerships and the revolving door industry from the public sphere into the private, the corporate world, and back again. And the lobbyist, the world of professional lobbyists, how they work to influence and pressure elected representatives in order to implement sort of legislation that ultimately they and their shareholders find favorable.
And all the tests and certification, you have to be pretty much certified freaking up the butt just to freaking do anything, man. Just to have a city job.
Sure.
To stand, you know what I mean?
No, are you talking about like behind bars or just here like in the real world, as it were?
In the real world, even. Like you have to have a certificate to just do anything. Like for just to become a road worker for the city or for the state. Okay. I mean you've literally got to pay so much money just to freaking do that job.
I think I had to do that for to become work out on the road crew, just to hold a stop sign during and deal with traffic throughout the course of the day while these highway projects were being basically they were unfolding. So that's a great point.
There was somebody out there who was unqualified to hold that sign like you were because they didn't take a test.
Right.
Talking about stupid.
Well, that's kind of it's contrary to the free market principles, I guess, right?
Yeah.
At a certain level. So sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got this one. Oh. I think we had DK out there. Shit, I had to reload things here. The chat comments were not coming our way. Sorry about that, folks. Court of bloody hell. We see a few people. DK, will get to him and what he has to offer here, along with Svetlana too. So can't serve the people if they already have an oath somewhere else, is what DK says. That's why they have to be secret. Yeah, we're talking about the conflict of interest. That's right. And to who? There we go. Restream wanted to refresh itself again and probably find all of the comments erased. People that were contributing to the commentary, peanut gallery end of things. But sometimes we have computer problems. And thank you once again. I don't know if I thank you in the first place, but Roger, I'm not someone who really deals with compliments all that well. I'm not sure about yourself, but I tend to almost like tune out people when they compliment me. And in some ways, I think there's a part of me that doesn't know how to handle, how to respond. And I think the word that was used earlier was gracious, and I forget within what context. I may be referring to Vinnie Eastwood in some way, but I think graciousness is that's really, really helpful. If people can work to better cultivate that and embody that virtue in a pure and sincere manner, it could become something quite powerful in its own right. So but yeah, I was just going to say, just to cap it off, going to say that because we got everything back up and running here basically with the Linux, right? And the computer, remember we were struggling with that, and you complimented our efforts here, and I was thinking about that just over the last couple of days, and especially in how I forgot to address that, and just to thank you. When people pay you a compliment, you should thank them, and I don't do that. It's just kind of either because I feel too embarrassed, or I guess it's mostly just I feel silly, embarrassed and foolish. That
it feels weird. I know. That's why I really don't expect much of a response from.
That's interesting. So you feel the same way. I wonder how common that is with people. Mark, do you feel that way when you get compliments, or when would he ever get a compliment, right? Nice hair, dude.
Really sort of British.
What's that?
Sort of thing. I always thought that was a British sort of thing, the stiff upper lip sort of thing.
No, it's more of a man thing than it is anything else. It's like
a stiff upper lip. That's not where you put your Viagra, dude. You got the wrong body part there.
Yeah.
It's not
wrong
stiffness
spot.
elsewhere. Actually, I'm at the appointed time in my age here where I'm stiff in every single place in my body except where I need it. That's the problem, right?
Did you ever hear the one about the old man that went to the doctor to get some Viagra? He's like 85 years old. And he goes into the doctor and he goes, "Doc, I need some Viagra." And he goes, "Sure, we can get you some Viagra." And he goes, "Okay, what I need you to do is I need you to take each pill and I need you to cut them up into about maybe a little bitty piece, about half the size of my fingernail, and put them back in the container." And he goes, "We can get you the Viagra, but I can't be cutting it up for you and putting it in the container." He's like, "What do you want that for anyhow?" And the old man looks over at him and he goes, "Well, you see, Doc, I'm an 85-year-old man, and I'm getting tired of freaking pissing on the floor when I wake up."
Mark, does that punchline resonate with you?
Thankfully, I don't have those problems yet.
Yeah, but I don't get that. I just that one went right over my head. I usually wake up with a big boner. Actually, that's what a male kind of. I'm not sure how much of a problem that is necessarily. But
see, at 85 years old, man, the last thing that you're going to be worried about is Viagra. It's like freaking, you know what I mean? Like I look at these 35-year-old men who freaking worry about erectile dysfunction and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, are you serious? And they're going out and they're getting hair club for men and shit. You know,
I'm sorry, they're getting what for men?
Hair club for men.
What's that?
That's hair replacement.
Oh, on their in their genital area?
On their head, dude. And the thing of it is like when
Viagra now, all of a sudden it's like talking about hair
that's
recession.
all the same shit, dude. That's the same shit. Like freaking, you got to worry about your sex drive and your freaking pretty hair. And like 35 years old and freaking worried about your sex drive.
Yeah. Wait till you're 55. Oh my god.
Yeah. You know, I'm like, dude, seriously. And then they don't realize when you die, you know what happens with that fake hair? The shit keeps growing.
Really?
So like 200 years from now, if somebody digs up your grave, they're going to find a big old hairball.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
think about that shit.
Oh, all right. So what did you think of the tarot reading? Just before we wrap up here, we had the Pentacles talking about monetary responsibility, management. And then, like, I was not asking her, I hope that this is applicable to the wider world. I was not wanting something that we could relate to, but I tell you, maybe because you can see it as being so vague in general that you could read whatever you want into it. But how about either of you? Did the reading resonate with either of you on a personal level?
I don't know. Maybe with a lot of the governance stuff, like there's a lot of stuff with the economy that's going to be changing.
For the better? Because Trump had a pretty decent economy his first term, yes? Americans were pretty happy, correct?
It's going to be better for us, but it's going to suck for England. So
looking at what's happening with the Labour government at this present moment,
Oh my God. Yeah, he's Trump and the Stormer. But I tell you what, you know who Trump maybe I probably is hitting it off with, it seems, I bet, is Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta. She's no fan of Trudeau either. And you know, Canadians, you know, they could be, who knows? Like Alberta has been working, like they're the Canada's Texas, and talk of succession for a long time now. So who knows what they'll have in store. Perhaps Trump could arrange something where, you know, Alberta gets a pretty good deal. The two with oil resources, primarily oil and gas. That's what Alberta's mostly known for. And tourism, cross-border trade and travel. You know, it's tourist and American friendly and vice versa.
The Rocky's getting me kind of scared though, because like he's talking crazy shit, like wanting to move to the United States, and like the United States. Let me put it out there like this: like the United States could talk all this crap they want about Mexicans coming to the United States, but they are in some deep shit when Canadians start freaking mass exodusing down here into the United States. You think Mexicans are bad? You wait until freaking the Canadians start flooding the United States, dude. It's going to get crazy.
Why is that?
Dude, you guys, think about this, okay? Like, Canada are the nice, peaceful Care Bears, okay? When they start coming into the United States, all of a sudden, man, you're going to get like all these nice people moving down here into the United States, which is nothing but rude, obnoxious people. Okay.
I went down to the States, the West Coast and the Midwest, and multiple occasions. And yeah, I mean, there's like, you got rude people everywhere, but I really had a positive experience. Basically, it wasn't like I went out looking for trouble. But just traveling and touring and interacting.
No, Portland doesn't count though.
I didn't go to Portland. It was like it was Idaho and Iowa. Drove through Wyoming, Dakota, and even through Sturgis. Actually, is one of the places. And down to what's the Four Corners region where they have the four states that are joined up. Illinois, I think, is one of them. In fact, Illinois, Iowa. I might have the geography off a little bit here, but I wanted to head down to Graceland and visit Elvis's home and resting place. That was a big thing for me. And St. Louis, Missouri, and just for me, it's like Memphis, Beale Street, just getting the vibe, the rock and roll, music, history, visiting Sun Studios. For me, that would be, and for a lot of people, it's a real sort of, what do they call it? It's like a religious, not journey. What do every Muslims do it, Buddhists do it. It's a what? Pilgrimage, right? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean,
I just don't. Honestly, I don't think that it would be a good idea for a lot of Canadians to come down in mass migration like that.
Well, they're going to do what they want to unless somebody's stopping them for some reason. But it's more money to the economy, right? They're not going to be freeloading. I don't think they're relocating because they just feel there's a better quality of life elsewhere, for reasons of personal freedom and liberties, for example, and less taxes.
That needs to change in Canada. That needs to change. But like, Canada is actually probably one of the beautifulest countries in the world, man. They would be losing more by coming here than what they would be gaining.
Yeah, but the government itself, and policies, it's really, it's not good. It's communitarian, globalist. It's horrific New World Order, police state, prison planet, hellscape, basically, with the tyranny the level of tyranny, intrusiveness, with the way that basically people's lives, we really got to stand up and work to do what we can in defending personal rights and freedoms. I don't say liberties, you'll notice, because you know what liberties actually are, right?
You notice Mark's being quiet right now?
So I was just
stiff upper lip. Stiff upper lip.
He knows. He better keep. He knows he's British, dude. He better just keep his mouth shut.
Stiff upper lip. That's
keep that British mouth shut.
Do that. Mark is like.
We know who's at fault. We know who's responsible.
It's the Prince Charles, and Prince Charles became the king, and we have the crown, and Buckingham Palace is wonderful. It's the empire. The sun never sets on Britain. The empire as it is. Winston Churchill, what a wonderful man. So wonderful and great. Oh yes. Blah blah blah. No, I'm doing a really bad impression of somebody that should never exist. But I love the Brits. I do, and I love British comedy and humor. And I mean, the women are easy. There's all kinds of good things you could say about them.
Yeah. Well, you know what's the one thing about the British people, though, Mark, you know who he has the biggest hots for out of all of them?
John Cleese?
No, Margaret Thatcher. He is freaking...
Who?
Yeah, right. Margaret Thatcher, dude.
Oh, Thatcher. He kind of looks like Thatcher, does? I wouldn't be surprised if he's like some sort of bastard byproduct of Margaret and who knows what your husband were getting up to. So are you sure your biological parents are really yours, Mark?
Double checked. Actually, I needed to use my birth certificate for something today, or yesterday. But yeah, according to my birth certificate, I know
what does that mean, though? Really, come on, birth certificates. Yeah. You need actual DNA verification. So what? By the way, speaking of which, 23andMe, it totally tanked, I guess. What happened? Other than maybe they were stealing, like data mining. And like there's a darker, people should not have been doing that. And what other outfits do we have operating that, terms and conditions may apply, or other. So Mark, I'm curious about DNA. And I have a pretty good idea, just kind of mix of something or another, because it's largely European, that, I don't know. It's not worth it, if you cannot have. It's kind of like this whole crypto thing. There's no guarantees in launching a coin, as what we did, or we're in the process of doing, and then had, as was suspected may occur, everything kind of taken out from from under us. That and then they moved on to launch their own. It was called Pirate Pay. And these same people that had spoken to us were involved in this, So with the branding and everything. And the thing about it, though, was I don't want anything to do with something where we end up just scamming people, right? Like a crypto coin token that in the end completely tanks. It's a pump and dump kind of deal, or it's just, or you can't, you end up pissing a lot of people off. Who the hell would want to do something like that? You'd have to be pretty sociopathic, really, driven by the greed factor, I suppose.
It's also, that's the point. A lot of people do not understand the the
technical
do not understand the sort of more not only technical but the legal frameworks around it.
Digital currency or tokens?
Tokens, man. Well, he's real big on that whole thing, the difference between a token and a coin.
I mean, I hate this term crypto.
Yeah.
That people use the very broad definition of crypto. think, what was it, last year or year before, I wrote an entire thing in Minds Chat about this. Crypto means various things. It means currencies, it means
locked,
tokens,
hidden, concealed, locked.
Oh yeah, well,
It's a
in this
crypt.
context,
You go to die, you're locked up in a crypt, right?
It's
The corpse.
related to non-fungal token.
Oh God, there we go.
NFT,
Yeah,
and then it's also related to centralized currencies.
Just a quick apology before we carry on. That with the chat here, there was a whole number of people. This is the way Restream operates. We got to get on their case, ask them what the hell. They'll probably have some lousy, just cheap excuse, of course. Brush it off, and it's like, yeah, just shut up and keep paying us your money, dummy. So, but all the comments are gone now in the chat area. So people out there are continuing to listen. Have at it once again. Sorry we missed things the first go round, but Restream just wanted to automatically once again reset itself and had a mind all of its own. So there was nothing really that we could do about it, and what you had to offer has been wiped clean. And we tried to keep a history. We rarely go back and check out the comments, but for posterity's sake, like in a sense that we archive, we copy and then put onto a document we keep here for posterity's sake, but we don't once again go into the archives and check things out all that often. But your thoughts, comments, and everything as they do come to us in real live time do mean a lot to us. The fact that there are people out there not just lurking, but you've logged in and you're wanting to share with us whatever happens to be on your mind. There's a few other things I was thinking of maybe addressing here. Oh, I know what it is. Say what you want. What is it? The crypto and so forth, Bitcoin and what have you. The only token I'd ever support or want to promote is JRR. And that's as far as it goes with me. Little hobbits, quest for the ring, and good vanquishing evil. That he is my one and only token in this life.
I can actually give some good advice when it comes to this whole token thing. Like, first of all, if you're going to invest in it, don't listen to a lot of these people that say you shouldn't check the prices out. Go in, set it up on your computer where you can get maybe a spreadsheet and keep track of the prices, and do it for about maybe 6 months before you make a decision on it, because you want to see how volatile the cryptocurrency is.
Right. Keep us in the loop, man. You could be like a financial advisor then. Why not? And we could maybe give you a bit of a kickback or percentage if
remember
things pan out.
that under US legislation, cryptocurrencies are not at this present moment financial assets.
Well, there are ways of transforming the digital rewards into you can have them. You could have them deposit into your bank account. I think, like on DLive, they do that. We haven't been in actually engaging.
No, what happens is you are converting the cryptocurrency to a financial asset. So you're converting cryptocurrency.
You're doing it yourself
to a sorry.
To cash.
Okay.
I think maybe what is with DLive is they want you to connect your bank account so that if there are any people that want to donate like cash, as in like PayPal, for example, they do that, say $50, $100, and then DLive takes its percentage almost invariably. They're going to be doing that, right? A couple bucks or doubloons, as it were. So I just haven't got too much into that. We depend and rely mostly on PayPal and merchandise sales, really, along with Patreon and anything else. People, if you can offer your time, energy, effort, resources, get creative, think out of the box, Hashtag WWRHD, what would Robin Hood do? So half of everything we do manage to generate goes directly back to the grassroots. That's just the way we operate here. Unfortunately, I've got to say that, we really, the way things are going right now, the trajectory, unless we pick up more sponsors and support, that, no, it's tough to say how much longer we'll be around. Maybe 1 year or two, and could ultimately maybe just have to pull the plug and have, I don't know what we're going to do actually, because it's just, we don't, our marketing department is, and things like sales and helping to better solicit donations and engaging the public so that they're really excited about helping out and supporting us. Just we could be doing better, big time. Bob Dub is someone who we can't say enough good things about. She, on a pretty routine basis, helps us out with the digital, with the Minds tokens. That's always a plus. And there's occasional merchandise sales and whatnot, but that only leaves us with $1 or $2 really, typically. So yeah, what can you do? What can you do really? But we're happy to be here, and we're happy to provide the sort of content that people are interested in being a part of and helping to contribute to further building up. That's, listeners. It's really, we are a listener supported outfit essentially, really, and we do depend on the wider listening world to help us make our way along through this, so often treacherous and intrepid world. Gentlemen, any final thoughts or comments you like to share here? We'd like to say thanks to, we saw there was a DK, Svetlana, and there were a couple others there, but the names just got wiped off the screen too quickly, unfortunately, with that really strange reset that Restream wanted to do. We're gonna have Robert Morningstar and his companion friend, the two colleagues, a double feature out of Manhattan Tag Team event this Friday, and then True Crime Vancouver is in the works. A lot of looking at the Picton Pig Farm, that whole mess. What a horrific thing. We don't often go there because I'm not a big horror movie fan, blood and guts kind of guy, but this sort of thing goes on, right? So, and we need to raise consciousness regarding, and so that people don't forget that there's crazies out there that they're really not well at all, and they're a lot of them can be pretty, they think they're smart, and they kind of are, but you can only get away with so much for so long, and eventually you'll be exposed and held to account. So yeah, and following that, a lot of things, ufology and other feature shows that are hopefully managed to grab people's attention, generate a little interest along the way. So, like, we got to hear a howl or two from you guys before we sail on out of here.
Oh.
That is so lame. You are one dead wolf, man. You are dead.
Hey.
What do they call the little, like the pack of the pack?
I used to know this beagle, and it'd go.
That's terrible. No, you're gonna get.
What it sounds like. It sounded like an old beagle dog.
Yeah. It kind of looks like one too, actually. Hey, beagles are pretty cool. They're kind of cute, actually.
God.
Nothing personal, Mark.
You're a beagle man.
I might pet and stroke you a little bit, your hair, and pat your back area, region of your body. Nothing, anything in the lower regions.
You know what's worse than a cat woman?
A
You know
cat
what's
woman?
worse than a cat? You know what's worse than a cat woman?
An old dog dude?
An old dog woman. 50-year-old woman with like 3 freaking beagles and a freaking Dalmatian or some shit. You know what I mean?
We've got one of those in the class that I work with here. They're exactly that. We have our 3 cats here, of course. So she's got her 3 dogs. She seems okay, but she's married. I don't know. Why do you say that exactly?
Just if I've been around so many of them, like especially when you start getting older, man, you're like hanging out with all these 40-50-year-old women that's got like 3 cats hanging around the house and 5 dogs and shit, and they're all freaking like talking weird freaking old lady shit. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude, you're not like over the hill in your 80s and shit.
So you've crossed paths with these kind of people, the old women, the dog women.
They're actually younger than me. That's what's so sad about it. It's like, wow. Seriously, dude, you're in your 40s and 50s acting like you're an 80-year-old woman, dude. Got like these plaid dresses on with flowers everywhere and petting freaking little beagle dogs.
bitches on bitches.
Yeah, and it's true. If you see, it's just.
Do you know what a bitch is?
Oh yeah, I do. I know some bitches.
No, but you know what the no. Do you know the definition of a bitch?
It's a female dog, man.
No, it's more than that.
Oh, bitches. What is it?
It's a female dog that's in heat.
Yes.
Yep. The old bitch.
Right. So it's got something to remember. Strength through unity, unity through faith. So we're looking at there. The V for Vendetta, and the rogue president here, Yoon, kind of in hiding at present. I wonder if he'll be able to rally his troops and where this is all going to lead to. But, there's some talk of civil war. I really don't think it's going to get to that point. He's only got right now about 10% of the country's population that actually support him, and apparently they're mostly based out of Seoul. The vested money interests is what we're looking at there. The heavily vested money interests. So and anyone else that doesn't believe that or back him by default is a communist and supporter of North Korea, right? That's what he's telling. That's what he says, and that's what he has his followers believing, people that are supporting him, because cults are really big in South Korea, and it seems it's not too difficult if you know what you're doing to be able to hoodwink people, and it's kind of along the lines of what it was said back in the day. It's easier to fool people than convince them or explain that they've been tricked in the first place. Kind of like this Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds book and business. Look that up, folks. Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. Herd, kind of group psychology. The stock market is part of it, as were the Crusades and various plagues and things, as I recall, that came along through history. So we saw it in spades, obviously, with the whole scamdemic business. That was pretty much apparent. People, just the weak-mindedness, and who in their right mind would just blindly go along and follow at this stage? This is where we currently stand this late in the game, with what the authorities are telling us. That geez.
Well, it's what they're forcing on us too.
Yeah, where you don't have any choice. That's right. It's like that's where it gets to the point where, wait a minute, this is a bunch of total bullshit, clearly.
Like you realize how many small businesses got put out of business because they.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was quite telling, wasn't it? And the what was it? The transfer of wealth, the hijacking of the economy. Clearly, the re-engineering of the economy, and transfer of wealth shifting, changing hands. I don't know. Did you have the actual numbers with bankruptcies and mostly small and medium-sized businesses that were targeted, while you had the big box stores like Walmart and others that's like, oh yeah, no problem, come on in.
Amazon was rubbing their hands with glee. Yeah.
Well, and that's, Marx himself did talk about this tendency towards monopolization. That was one of his big things as an economist or an economic analyst. Although the one thing about him that I find quite peculiar is why he did not look more into the banking system itself and interest as it is used, it's weaponized, applied, and to the point where it's compound interest, that people are forced to are expected to pay. And that's the one area where I give kudos to Islam, the way that they have things managed economically on that front. Something that I don't know if the two of you know much about that, how they handle things, but usury is not really part of their playbook. They're quite opposed to the to usury, just as something that, as with Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas famously wrote about usury as well, where you have these exorbitant interest rates that people are burdened by, and ultimately find themselves losing a lot of their wealth and assets, property, completely end up in the poorhouse.
And that's why I always say that people have it messed up when they try to say that the New World Order or something that's going to happen. It's already here.
Oh yeah,
and like
1984. It's almost like 1984. It's maybe one day soon. It's like, how about maybe 50 years ago?
Yeah. And it's like you said, and you look at when they. Okay, and everybody loves the idea of a 40-hour week, okay? But let's really take a look at that and see what that produced, okay? The moment they created 40-hour weeks and they created minimum wage and all these great freaking socialist programs, all of a sudden inflation became an issue, all right? Now all of a sudden you have this freaking inflation, you know what I mean? Interest rates. All of this shit, and it was created and fashioned because they want to make this make-believe world that doesn't exist, so that you think freaking you're in debt. And the reason why they want you to make you think you're in debt is because the governments make money off of debt.
Yeah.
When you're in debt, your government is making money off of you.
Mm-hmm.
See.
Well, and just to explain to the for the uninitiated, or those that are not
in the United States, we call it government, dude. It's
and currency devaluation too.
Criticism about government money and state money. Also, in the UK, the average full-time working week is 38 hours, and I think in South Africa, depends on which country you're talking about. The average working week in the US is 40 hours.
Currency devaluation is one of the big things that we're looking with the printing press getting fired up, and inflation with more fiat government issued funny money, credits, dollars, or I guess pounds in the UK being produced, that there's yeah, you're going to find currency devaluation. There's more of these banknotes being produced and circulated, and yeah, with I mean, debt is so. How does that work then exactly? Where you're saying the government makes money off of debt? Break that down for listeners before we call it a night.
Whenever freaking we turn around and we buy exports and imports, okay, like the United States, okay, we export our goods and then we buy from other countries. Now, what happens is we have to freaking pay these countries money. All right.
The trade. You're talking about the trade deficit.
It goes all the way to that. Now, what
balance
happens
of trade
is we fall in. Believe it or not, the United States does have debt with other countries, so we owe them money. And the reason why we do that is because when we owe them money, they give us freaking benefits, okay, from our debt. They say, okay, so you owe us, so what we'll do is we'll make an agreement with you. Because you owe us this amount of money, you have to buy our goods, and we'll even give you breaks on the goods that you receive from our country.
Like a quid pro quo deal, basically, is cut or negotiated.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
This for that.
This for that, and it's the same way with like England owing the United States money. If England owes us money, then freaking we cut them breaks so that they buy our goods.
Yeah, it's a whole it's a house of cards and smoke and mirrors, and then you have the business, these derivatives, fractional reserve lending, and it just goes on and on and on with the games that are being played at the highest levels, the stock market, and so much more, of course. So but the debt is really quite something, and a devaluation of the national currencies, the founding of the Federal Reserve System, how that occurred in Canada is really something worth looking into. I think you'd have to investigate the Bank of Canada, the origins and history of the Bank of Canada. It's a similar type deal, though. You can bet your bottom dollar. I'm not overly clear on it, not as up to speed on things as I am was it 1913, Jekyll Island?
Yeah,
The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
And written by The Creature from Jekyll Island, Edward Griffin. Is it Edward?
Yeah, I believe little skinny guy, right? With
Edward
glasses.
G. Edward Griffin. And it's interesting too because Vinny brought him up when he was here as one of his guests that he had on his show. Of the many hundreds, maybe at this stage even thousands. He's done thousands of shows, is what he tells us. So, but G. Edward Griffin, famously known for his work, The Creature from Jekyll Island, which apparently the claim was to a significant extent and degree plagiarized from the work of Eustace Mullins. For anyone who's interested, and with that name, if it rings a bell, or if it doesn't, even more so, keep digging, dig a little deeper. Eustace Mullins he was the man. He actually helped to liberate the famous poet Ezra Pound from a psychiatric institution where I think it was Eisenhower had him essentially just wasting away for quite some time following World War II, and that's largely, I guess, because of Pound's support of Italian fascism, if I'm not mistaken. So you can actually go back and listen to Ezra Pound and some of the speeches that he gave during that time. in English, as I recall, and in support of the Italians, and their war efforts. So, I mean, there's a guy, Mussolini. He just totally, well, I don't know what was he thinking. What a megalomaniac that guy was. Geez, who's the big like. Like what right did he have really? What was he thinking? Like with his incursions into was it Ethiopia, Africa, and beyond? So
Yeah,
do
it's
you guys
pretty much
know?
yeah. Nothing's about. Yeah.
It was just, I mean, and he didn't have to do that. There's no need. I mean, there's not even like, I don't even think there was a false flag that they staged, which they could have if they really wanted it that badly. They just went ahead, and I think it was seen as some sort of historic retribution of some kind, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways,
see, he actually went, like, the Colosseum and everything.
Sure.
He went and actually made a miniature freaking model of the entire freaking city.
Yeah.
With the Colosseum sitting in it. And his whole vision was he was wanting to make Italy into freaking the new Rome. He was going to rebuild the empire. So, I mean, and it's like in today's world, everything has to be put in like socialist context. But in reality, if you look at what fascism really is, okay, it's really imperialism. Okay, what he wanted to do is he wanted to create an empire. It's just like with Hitler. Okay,
Yeah.
Hitler wanted an empire.
Yeah. Well, let me just stop you right there, because you're right. Like both, Hitler and Mussolini had these visions of grandeur, and they
Right.
liked the idea of produce. Even Churchill, he loved playing with his little model, miniature war sets, and rebuilding cities, on a models, little miniatures for his own pleasure and entertainment.
But it was all about empire.
Yeah. Well,
Churchill is an especially an interesting case when you consider this, looking at his background, his history, his father's history,
mother's history,
his
Jewish
actions
American
in
princess.
relation to what's it the Boer War that he fought in?
The Boer. I don't know if he fought. He was a journalist.
Okay, I know he fought in a war.
Yeah,
sure
I don't know if he
one.
fought. He may. He was there for the adventure, like a thrill seeker. He may have. See, Orwell was someone who definitely, he was in the Spanish, partook in the Spanish Civil War, and George Orwell. So that was a bit of an eye opener for him. But this whole thing, definitions, it's all the same bunch of nonsense, really, where imperialism, fascism, communism, totalitarianism, call it what you like, the individual has you're totally, you don't even exist anymore. It's just the collective dictates, and is what it's all about. And too bad for your individual interests and wishes. So, but the way that Robert Morningstar distinguishes the two, basically, and it's a pretty good way, I guess, of laying it out, trying to break it down. Fascism on the one hand, corporatism or national socialism, and we're actually going to get I think it's your buddy Brian Rue. He's going to return to the show here, Roger. I think you're a big fan of his, are you not? So, I like Brian. He's wacky. He's openly upfront and above board with the fact that he suffers from manic depression or bipolar or whatever it is. But he's also really bright and intelligent, very knowledgeable with respect to Buddhist philosophy, history, and so forth. He's a big fan of Adolf Hitler for whatever reason. And I don't really think any less of him because of that. And the reason
it's not that I had an issue. It's just like when he suggests that you contact people, don't do it.
Oh, so what happened? What happened there then exactly? How did that play out?
Okay, I did the interview. Everything on the interview was great, dude.
Oh,
He did really good.
okay.
But the thing of it is he's like, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, though. I'm going to give you these names. You need to contact them, and you need to let them know that you want them on their show, your show. So he gives me these names, and I contact.
Are you going to name the names or not?
We don't really need to be doing that.
Okay.
Bob Dub ends up contacting them, and freaking next thing you know, man, we are getting this emails back saying, man, look, this person is freaking stalking so and freaking stealing their content and making freaking the book covers look
not Brian Rue. Brian Rue was he wasn't doing this, was he?
Yes, he was stalking this girl, this woman.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I really don't know. That's their.
That's all.
Maybe, but you know what?
It got to the point where I was like, look, man, I don't know you. I just interviewed him one time. I don't really know any of you, so I don't really. I just wanted to reach out and see if you wanted to do an interview. You know what I mean?
Well, how did you come into contact with him?
It was through AutoX.
It wasn't through me or us.
No, it was through Auto Excelsior.
Yeah, he's avoiding us for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. So you had Auto on board?
Well, I've done a few shows with him actually.
Cool.
It was with Duality. No, not with Duality. We did something. We did a piece over Shakespeare. Shakespeare conspiracies and stuff.
Well, so you talk to him once in a while?
Not anymore.
Oh, so something happened?
Yeah, it's something that just a difference of the way we do things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a real big fan on like the whole idea of like watching how I say shit and behaving like the way people think I need to behave. You know what I mean?
Was he lecturing you on certain things, the way that you were just presenting yourself, or trying to come across a big brother or something, mentor?
No, it wasn't anything like that.
Right.
It was
I like to go back and check out your archives. Sounds interesting. I'm gonna go look at, if I see those shows, I'm gonna check them out.
It was more of I wanted to try to do something in the lines of maybe setting up a rock opera, you know what I mean?
Shakespeare, dude. Shakespeare, and because you don't believe the official story on Shakespeare, do you? You don't buy that, do you?
We did an entire 4 episode stream on this year before that.
Did you guys see the movie Anonymous?
I actually was going to get around to it, but
wow,
no, actually,
Edward de Vere, and then not only Edward de Vere, but there was supposedly, including Francis Bacon, as memory serves, there was this entire group, like a secret society behind Shakespeare, and they were called either the Knights of the Helm. I think it was Knights of the Helm or Knights of the Helmet. Look it up, folks. There's your value-added content for the show if you haven't already got enough. Just capping things off here and in stylish fashion as we can possibly manage. Medworthy, minds.com/Medworthy, of course, yourself, Mark, and Roger Hansen on Minds too. We've got your contact information there. We're now only 4 shows behind, with this one being put to bed, but we're going to get on top of things here. Apologies once again to people in the comment end of the peanut gallery. I'm a little I try to be as stoic as possible, really. I'm really into this whole Greco-Buddhist thing, spiritually. And hey, although I do dig the wolf, but everything, monkeys, why not? I can appreciate monkeys and cats and dogs and pirates. So, just rogue.
What do you think? What do you think about Yogi?
Yogi who?
The Yogi.
Yogi Bear or Yogi Berra?
I was thinking about
Yogi Brahma.
Yogi who?
Yogi.
You talking about Buddha, like kind of like spiritual, like Eastern Hindu teachers, or what, or Yogi Bear?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like, oh, I see. So you're talking like Tibetan masters and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. You got a lot of fakes, a lot of people that are, they're, you got to be careful of people with their spiritual pride and the way that they make a big deal of their credentials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're of a certain status, a certain, category, that makes them quite special. Although there is something to that, it would seem, because, people who practice, and that's really what it's all about, right? Like you have medical practice, legal practice, spiritual practice. Right after we wrap up the show here, I'm gonna kick back and relax with a little guitar practice. Fingers crossed, might actually have a part-time job coming up in that regard as well. But
that's cool.
But yogis, yeah, just okay, stripping the gurus. Oh my God! Speaking of stripping, do you see what I see? Hello, baby. Don't hope the wife. Don't tell the wife I said that. No, the wife is wonderful to me. She's the best. Not that kind of. What the hell is that? It's who's this? I hope that person's not teaching the kids, are they? The kindergarten kids. So, do you know who that is a picture of?
It's Madonna, isn't it?
Nope. That was Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson in drag.
That was Jordan Peterson in drag.
Yeah, wow. That's one thing I've never got into or thought was funny. What do you call it? Humiliation rituals or what? Like back in the day where they like hazing and things in sports, or it's like, oh, dressing up as a woman, really funny, ha ha ha, and the jocks.
It's only acceptable in pantos and pantomimes, which is a very British tradition.
What?
Right, he said pantomimes. I thought he said pantyhose for a second.
What did he say? No, what did he say? Was it which one?
Pantomimes.
Well, yeah. I don't know what. Okay, why that? I'm not sure, but no,
He's like, no.
Yeah, I just for me, no, because here's the thing. Look, even who was it? Dave Chappelle talked about the way that Hollyweird operates and their humiliation rituals. That's part of the deal. If you notice, you go back and look at all the movies where you have these men, Robin Williams. Walter Matthau is another, and there's countless. Look at bloody Dustin Hoffman, as Tootsie. Who was Robin Williams? That famous character, Miss Doubtfire.
Doubtfire,
and then you had like so many of the people, the guys through the ages that they dress them up in drag, and for me it just doesn't resonate. I don't think it's funny. And there's not much really that I can say that's supportive of that sort of behavior. It's if you want to do it, go ahead, but it's not my thing, And it gets to the point where, as with these experimental kill shots, that these bastards are forcing, trying to coerce and impose this sort of behavior on others, or even to the point of where they're injecting you with these toxins that they are trying to convince you are magic bullet miracle cures to whatever ails happen to be suffering, to ailing you and the wider portions of society. You were going to say something, Roger?
Well, I was going to say something, but just like you started going into the other stuff, so I kind of got distracted. But it was like this whole thing with women that gets me is this like you know, like when you hear men talking and they get into this whole lesbian kissing shit, you know what I mean? But for some reason, I've never been turned on by lesbians ever. Like
that was a thing for me when I was a teenager, maybe because it was new and something like, oh, this is naughty, you know.
Yeah.
That's about these days. It's just kind of like annoying. I don't really want to see it. It's like, and the whole thing, frankly, the whole business of sex acts, that's a personal, private thing. Like you don't need to broadcast it to the entire world. It's just not necessary. Do it in your own time in the confines of your home or out in the forest or wherever you feel like, stripping down and getting naked. I've been out in rivers. I've gone totally, what is it, sky clad, at times, into like north central British Columbia. Kispiox Valley Music Festival is one example. It's like just the feeling was right. And from there, it's actually kind of, I don't know what it was, but ended up hooking up with some young blonde chick that seemed to be interested in my finely chiseled Apollonian physique, and other, miscellaneous endowments, shall we say. So, it was one of those.
You ran butt naked in the woods with a freaking hairy blonde chick.
Oh, she wasn't that hairy. She was just this cute young blonde, that local farm girl kind of deal. And the things kind of worked out for me a little later on, down the road during as the festival unfolded. So things could get a little wilder back in the day, but I think
not these days.
What's that?
Not these days. Stuff like that don't happen anymore.
Oh hell yeah, man! It's like, well, shit, yeah. I would do it again the right context and setting. I wouldn't be there if it was like the people were pretty. It's like a hippie fest basically, right? So, people were pretty just relaxed, easygoing, and no one's gonna bat an eye really. It wasn't like there's anybody really around. Frankly, I was just there by myself. I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna just take my my clothes off here and check out the water. This is great. Get washed up and enjoy the beautiful sunshine. It was a discreet type location as well too, so it wasn't like I was trying to broadcast this at that time to the entire world. And just karma, man, karma. So you know what the word karma means, don't you?
Comes around, goes around.
No, just one word is all you need. What does it mean?
Every action has a reaction.
You kind of got it there. You're too wordy though.
What's the one word?
Action.
Oh God, that's. Well, I know dharma is responsibility.
Dharma has multiple meanings, actually.
Well, dharma is the shit that people don't want to do. It's the stuff where you got to be responsible and do stuff.
Yes, right. It's a foundation of your life and society, and you're like, when I got to go feed the cats, right? That's part of my dharma. The wife cooks for us. That's her dharma. I clean up the house and do chores here. That's the dharma. Go out and work. That's dharma. And engaging with the public and in a personable way, right? Like so when I go out and just kind of meet with people out on the street, total strangers a lot of times, although sometimes they know you, they've seen you around a little bit maybe, greet them with a smile and a friendly word or two, maybe a bit of a joke, whatever it takes, right, to kind of lift the mood, I guess, and make people's day a little more manageable and tolerable, I guess. Right? What did you say?
I was like, everybody loves talking about karma though, but nobody loves to talk about that dharma stuff. Oh my God!
There's multiple definitions. Dharmas are also like in the Mahayana tradition, from what I understand. Dharmas are psychological sort of, the way that we perceive the Matrix and Maya, time and space, where we currently transition and reside. Psychological or sensory manifestations and experience, that with nose, eyes, taste, touch, ear, it's all, those are dharmas as well. So, but you're right, responsibility is another. It's also the dharma is the law of the Buddha. 3 jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. 3 poisons: ignorance, greed, and lust. And so it's constantly thirsting. Hungry ghosts. I know you like the hungry ghosts.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about covering, going over the samsaras.
Yeah, wandering, endlessly wandering. Do you know the goal? What is the goal? The end goal, aim of Buddhism? What's the whole point?
It's been. I know it has to do with. Well, first of all, you can pretty much. It's kind of like the tree of life, where you can pretty much go any direction you want to go. You know what I mean? But
you just want to spend. Do you want to spend eternity just kind of wandering all around?
The highest part of it is supposed to be about the devas, and to be able to achieve enlightenment with the deva.
Okay, devas are, that's like a god realm of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. It's interesting, that term deva, and then devil, of course, but in the Hindu, the Dharmic traditions, it's more of a. I'd like to look into the etymology. It's quite something. Deva. I have a brother-in-law named Dave. He can be pretty nasty at times. Maybe that's. Maybe they should have given him a better name, like Mark or Roger. A little more kind of, not so wild and crazy. Just, I'm joking. He's actually an okay guy. Yeah, Dave. Dave's not here, man. Dave's not here.
Just like I was wanting to do.
Dave's not here.
This one scene where in one of my scripts, where this guy, he was like a alchemist, and he was able to freaking meet a goddess or a god or a goddess, right? And he fell more in love with the sight of this goddess than freaking anything else, and she was willing to offer him all the wisdom that he'd ever want. Okay, and instead of being focused on wanting wisdom and enlightenment, he was wanting her. He worshipped her because of her appearance and how beautiful she was.
Right.
So because he was worshiping her and her beauty, freaking he actually lost favor with her.
I see.
He fell from grace. You know what I mean? Because he was more obsessed with the beauty of this goddess than what she was able to offer him, like wisdom and understanding and things of that. So I wanted to do that.
I think there's a lot of wisdom and understanding to be found in pain, loss, and suffering. That's what I've experienced in life, haven't you?
The thing of it is it's
transformative.
It's good to worship. Don't get me wrong, but understand what is it that you're actually worshiping.
Right.
What are your goals?
Right. But speaking, so we got to wrap this up. In the Buddhist tradition, what is the goal?
Cool.
Cut to the chase.
What?
Karma is action. So what is the goal then in Buddhism? Simply put.
For me, the whole thing about Buddhism has always just been for enlightenment. It's
okay. All right. Well, Mark.
That's basic.
So what do you do? So when you're enlightened, what does that establish? When you become enlightened, what happens?
Well, wait. You know about the Four Noble Truths, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're supposed to ascend. Okay, if you live the way of the Four Noble Truths, you're supposed to ascend to a higher being.
Grounded.
Everybody talks.
Ground yourself. Really. I mean, I don't know this ascending business, but yeah, and the higher self. I mean, why don't we start by getting grounded and centered? Is that possible?
You believe,
but you're still missing. You're kind of dancing all over the place here.
You believe in reincarnation, right?
Well, we're here now, aren't we?
No, I'm saying, as a Buddhist, you believe in reincarnation.
Well, we're living proof of reincarnation.
So when you're reincarnated, do you want to ascend?
Well, you want good karma, right? So if you live a good life and you produce good karma, then it's like, what did Jesus say in the Bible? See, there's little hints and clues along the way, but the waters were muddied. So he was asked by one of his disciples, why was this man born blind? Was it because his parents sinned, or that he did? And then the question there arises, like, okay, his parents did bad things, so then they've had this blind child. But wait a minute, how is it that a baby can sin inside the womb, and then born blind? So they're talking about karma there, is what I see, and reincarnation, frankly. But no, just to cut to the chase, the goal in Buddhism is to make friends with yourself.
I can do that by myself. I don't need.
Well, that's all you have.
I mean, what do I need? What do I need Buddha to be friends with myself? I love myself, dude.
Yeah, just to remind yourself. But I mean, you are the Buddha.
No, it's the one thing that.
Go ahead.
If I'm gonna be friends with myself, I need to make sure of one thing, though. Okay, and I said this at the end of my show the last time when I finished up on that thing with the hungry souls, or the hungry ghosts.
The predators, yeah.
Now,
the predators.
The thing about it is, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about escaping samsara.
Uh-huh.
And if you're one of these people who believe in Buddhism, like you are, okay, and you think you can escape samsara, the only way I can see, just personally, my own way of seeing it, is this: don't worship Buddha. That's the only way, because the one reason why I say that is because I personally feel like we create our own hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably good advice. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe some Buddhists worship Buddha, but for me and for a lot of others, you just look to him as an example. He was a man who awakened. That's all. He was somebody who woke up inside the dream, to realize that's where we are. We're dreaming inside this matrix, Maya fueled matrix, essentially, and prison planet where we're currently residing and, I guess living in whatever state we happen to find ourselves. So do no harm. Yeah, take no shit, but, do no harm. Much love, no fear, as DK, I think, quite appropriately likes to put things. It's well said, well spoken. But yeah, making friends with oneself, and ultimately liberating yourself, and hopefully others, if you can manage. This is the Mahayana Buddhism. The original Buddhism, I don't think there was much talk or focus of reaching out and helping others for whatever reason. But Mahayana Buddhism, yes, definitely, that you, in taking your bodhisattva vows, you promise to not to transcend, essentially, or to liberate yourself from the wheel of rebirth until all other sentient beings have themselves done so as well. That's how extreme it is, if you can believe that. So there we go. And yeah, look into it further, folks. Just, it's interesting. Research the history, make of it what you will. Very scientific. On the one hand, so even here in Korea, people say, "Oh, it's superstitious." There is that part of it, yeah, sure, where you have the Deva realm, and so forth, which I don't really get too much into myself. But, and besides, look, all of even things like the malevolent, is it malevolent and benign, the deities, they're all seen as qualities of our own mind. That's all they are, supposedly. Like, you see something, it's like, oh, that's scary. Or the other one's like, oh, that looks so beautiful and lovely. Well, they're all qualities of our own mind, is what's most important to remember, or thus have I heard. So, but we'll continue the story and conversation next time, I guess. Thanks to both of you for helping to contribute to the dialogue. We kind of overshot things here in a big way. I mean, it's the sort of thing we could quite easily, produce and package in, in support of kind of premium exclusive content, but we just don't, there's not enough hands on deck at present, unfortunately. So we will cue up the outro, though, on that note, in recognition of the full moon, the wolf full moon period that we find ourselves moving through at present. It actually peaked, I guess, Monday evening is what we're looking at there as far as a peak to things. So it'll be lasting here the next week or so. And I would encourage anyone that's interested to try to draw upon the energy, but also project and give back. In a Tibetan tradition, they have something that's known as the Tong Lin, if anyone's interested in looking into that, where you draw within yourself all of the negativity of the world, all the really kind of crap, right down to the core, to the bone, to the marrow, and the worst possible things that these silly people that are so, just really mental and misguided, confused, and their hearts are hard, as Christ told us, and they're confused. But we draw upon that energy and work to transform as best we can manage all of the negativity until such time where we can then project outward and redistribute in a positive, healthy way, healthy manner that's beneficial to people, complete strangers in many cases, who find themselves alone and in some need of support. That's partly what we're here for. So, and we'll be back again this Friday in a similar type spirit, I suppose one could say, hearing from Robert Morningstar and his companion with the Manhattan double feature is how we're billing things. So very much looking forward to that, folks. Same time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 out on the East Coast. Friday night, 1 p.m. Saturday here via the Seoul and Tokyo end of things. Seoul and Tokyo time zone. I hope that our sound came through all right this go round with no headset on, but we'll be suiting up with that here this Friday, I would imagine. On behalf of Captain Long, John Sinclair, and all the rest of the crew here aboard the Robin Hood, I'm your host, as always, the show's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. WPRPN.com, the website, Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com, the email address, like, comment, share, all that other kind of good stuff. Much appreciated. Eyes to the sky, ear to the ground. Tally ho.